We are Baltimore. We are Wisconsin.
Last night, the four-game slide died at the right arm of Kyle Loesch, and two tomahawk chops by Mark Reynolds and Carlos Gomez. Tonight, the Turner Field finale. Hired gun Matt Garza aims to take down the division-leading Braves and send the crew to South Beach with a series split. From Atlanta, Georgia, the final game of this series. Game 4, the Brewers winning last night and now trying to earn the split in this series before they head to Miami. Carlos Gomez had a big night last night, hit a home run, a 2-run shot, but he is a scratch from the lineup this evening. Brewers sending up Matt Garza tonight. Hi, everybody. We welcome you from Turner Field in Atlanta. Alongside Bill Schroeder, I'm Brian Anderson. We'll hear from Telly Hughes in just a moment as well. Let's start right away with Carlos Gomez, Rock. He's out of the lineup. I think the Brewers feel like this is not going to be a serious or a long-term injury, but they want to make sure he's back and healthy for the Marlins series.
Yeah, Carlos says he's feeling pretty good. I mean, you could tell a couple of at-bats in yesterday's game where he was kind of feeling a little bit. So Ron Renneke electing to keep him out of the lineup. He's going to be okay. He's probably going to be back in the lineup tomorrow in Miami. So everything's going to be okay with Carlos. But because of that, Carlos out of the lineup. You got some guys on the disabled list. Ryan Braun still not himself. Puts a lot of emphasis on Matt Garza here tonight, picking up right where Kyle Loesch left off in yesterday's ball game. But what he has to do is minimize the damage in the first inning. With Garza so far this year, he has allowed 11 of his 31 runs allowed this year in the first inning. Look at the difference in the first inning, a 10 ERA as opposed to a 3.80 earned run average. He's got to do what he did at the end of the Cubs game his last time out. Gave up 3 in the first and then retired the next 18 of 20. That's what he has to do early on here tonight.
Well, the Brewers are going to need him tonight. Garza had a great start against Atlanta back in early April. Coming up next, Telly Hughes will sit down with Jonathan Lucroy. He's been red hot here against the Braves. Stay with us.
in the final game of this 4-game set against the Braves. Welcome back to Turner Field, where Jonathan Lucroy has strung together a solid series with 6 hits over the first 3 games, with his production at the plate mirroring his value behind it. Luke ranks in the top 8 in the National League in doubles, batting average, as well as on-base percentage, and I had a chance to ask him, how does he keep his approach consistent?
Guys get in trouble when they go up there, they press, and which I'm definitely guilty of. So, I've learned over the course of my career so far that you got to be patient and kind of take what they give you, and that's what I'm trying to do now, is just try to have good ABs and hit the ball hard.
Coming up, can the Crew pick up the W in the ATL to secure the series split? Brian Anderson and Bill Schroeder are up next with the first pitch between the Brewers and Braves, next on Fox Sports Wisconsin.
Brought to you by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. By Miller Lite. Now in the original can, it's Miller time. By Toyota. Let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And we welcome you back from Atlanta, Georgia. 86 degrees, warm and windy here at Turner Field, Atlanta. Final game of this 4-game series. The Brewers trying to win this one tonight and get out of here with a series split before they start a 3-game series against the Miami Marlins tomorrow. Ron Renneke, year number 4. His ball club is in first place in the National League Central. The Brewers are 9 games over. Bit of a change in the lineup. We talked about Gomez not being available tonight. Gene Segura gets the call in the leadoff spot. It'll be Scooter Gennett batting second, then Ryan Braun. And then the middle of the order is Lucroy Reynolds, who hit a grand slam last night, and Lyle Overbay. Bottom 3, Chris Davis, Logan Schaefer, and Matt Garza. That's the Associated Bank Brewers starting lineup. Third game in the leadoff spot for Gene Segura, and Ron Renneke forced to change it up a little bit with Gomez out of the lineup. Aramis Ramirez still on the disabled list. So the Brewers are a little banged up. It's been that kind of month, Rock, and yet they were able to win a big ball game last night and set themselves up for an opportunity to get out of here with a split.
Yeah, what a night for Kyle Lewis. I mean, this guy just continues to put together one good start after another. He's been able to put together 8 consecutive quality starts and another win against the Atlanta Braves. And he certainly was helped by his offense in yesterday's ball game with a first-inning grand slam by Mark Reynolds. There's the umpiring crew. The crew chief fielding Colgrith. He's the guy to keep an eye on in the event of a review. Manny Gonzalez, Seth Buckminster, and Brian Knight, the arbiters here tonight in Atlanta.
And there is Aaron Harang, and this will be a rematch for Harang and Garza from a game back on April 2nd at Miller Park. And what a pitching duel it was between Harang and Garza, each pitcher taking no hitters into the 7th inning. And Harang got the best of Garza that day. A 1-0 victory. And Harang, what a pickup for Atlanta. That was his first start of the year for the Braves. He went 6 2/3 shutout, 3 strikeouts. He only allowed 2 hits and stifled the Brewers in their opening series of the season.
The guy that doesn't really mess around too much. He's going to throw a lot of fastballs, and he's going to stay away predominantly out there on the mound. Doesn't mess around inside too much. He's only allowed 2 home runs this year. And look at the earned run average, 2.98. He's given up 18 earned runs this year. 9 of those, half of them, came in 1 start at Miami. So he's been outstanding. Every other start for Harang has been very good. Let's check out the Braves defense, brought to you by Menards. A couple of changes, or I should say 1 change. Dan Uggla gets his first start at second base, and Gerald Laird once again back behind home plate. Evan Gattis continues to have a tough time with that flu.
That's news that Dan Uggla is in the starting lineup. The Braves still owe him around $20 million this year and next. Big free agent signing for the Marlins a few years back. And Rock, he has hardly played. He has just 20 plate appearances in the month of May. And this is just his 2nd start in the last 14 days. He has lost his everyday role with the Atlanta Braves despite that sizable contract.
And only hitting 178. And certainly Ramiro Pena has been the guy at second base first 2 games of the series, who's been swinging the bat well. So Uggla gets a chance here tonight.
Now we're ready to play ball here in Atlanta. Turner Field on a beautiful warm night for baseball. Segura leads the way, and Harang misses upstairs, and off we go tonight. Segura coming in batting .252. Has a couple of home runs this year. He's driven in 12. And has admitted that he's not all that comfortable in the leadoff spot. Last year in his all-star season, he hit mostly in the 2 spot. Yesterday, Segura hit 6th. He was 1 out of 4, drops a bunt down. It's a beauty. Johnson bare hands, throw to first, not in time. And more bunt hits against Aaron Harang. That was a theme in his last start against the Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals were able to drop down 4 bunts for base hits in yesterday's ball game. Aaron Harang getting up there in age and not jumping off that mound as well as he did in the past. So you might see both of these teams trying to drop down bunts, make the pitchers get off the mound and field their position. Garza has issues with that as well.
A good way to start it tonight. The Brewers scored 4 runs in the first inning last night, snapping a 4-game losing streak. Kyle Loesch was fantastic. Got a grand slam from Mark Reynolds in the first. Carlos Gomez had a 2-run homer. And Scooter Gennett had a couple of hits last night. Gennett elevated to the 2 spot in the batting order behind Segura this evening with Gomez out. He was 2 out of 5 last night, had a double. He scored a run. And he leads the Brewers in multi-hit games this year, Scooter Gennett, and he's not playing every day. In a platoon with Ricky Weeks. There goes Segura, and Laird's throw is high. The tag is late. Segura with a stolen base. His 9th steal of the season, and right away the Brewers on the attack.
And not messing around. Aaron Harang has made a number of starts against the Brewers, 26 of them, including tonight. He's got a 7-6 record, so the Brewers know that he's a tough customer. And that throw not even close. Brewers trying to put a little bit of pressure on Harang and get on the board early once again here tonight.
So Gennett in a 1-1 count, now a runner in scoring position. The Brewers have just 1 hit with a runner in scoring position in this series. That was Reynolds' grand slam yesterday in the first. It's been a rough run offensively for Milwaukee, but they were able to snap out of it last night and put 6 on the board in support of Kyle Loesch, who didn't need much last night. Loesch went 8 innings, just 1 run. He struck out 8 and won for the 6th time this year. What a start he's off to in 2014.
Yeah, talk about a stopper, right? Breaking that 4-game losing streak and really never gave the Braves an opportunity to get back in the game.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Jeanette. Harang doesn't overpower you. He goes about his business a lot like Kyle Loesch does. A lot of off speed, and he has confidence in all of his off speed pitches. Will throw it in any count. Been quite a resurgence for Aaron Harang this season for the Atlanta Braves. Been a nice find for him. 2-2 pitch. And Jeanette rips one foul. That's going to hook into the seats. Count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Got a number of pitches that he has, but he's going to predominantly go after the Brewers with fastballs. Normally keep him down in the strike zone, get some ground ball outs. He's got 59 strikeouts and 54 in the 3rd innings. I mean, that's pretty good for a guy not throwing in the upper 90s like he did when he was a kid with the Cincinnati Reds.
We'll do it again. Another 2-2 on the way to Jeanette. And a foul tip. Just got a piece of it to stay alive at the plate. Segura protecting that right hand, that right thumb, a sliding pad. He's a head first slider. Another 2-2 coming from Harang. And Jeanette staying alive as he fouls that one into the seats. Big Aaron Harang, 6'7", 260. Now 36 years of age. He pitched for the Mets and the Mariners last year. And when it was all said and done, he ended up making 26 starts a season ago. Had an ERA around 5.5, and I think most around baseball felt he was maybe done, or at least in the twilight. Nobody expected this. There's a little lazy fly ball to center. B.J. Upton will make the catch, and Jeanette unable to advance. Gene Segura.
Yeah, how many lives has Aaron Harang had, right? I mean, there's been a number of different times where baseball has thought he's been going to be done, but well, he just seems to come up with one good start after another. 6'7", 261 pounds. He's 36 years old. Used to be an innings eater with the Cincinnati Reds.
He was among the elite right-handers in the game in the middle of the last decade, as Ryan Braun gets greeted here at Turner Field. 7 homers for Braun, 19 driven in. Last night, Braun had a rough night at the plate, but was able to put a hit on the board in his final at bat. He was 1 for 5. Santana was giving him fits last night. He did homer in game 2 of this series at an opposite field home run to right. Got a runner at second with a lot of speed, and Braun pulls one to Simmons, who backhands it, and a strong throw for out number 2.
Going to see a lot of ground ball outs with Aaron Harang out on the mound. Not so much because he has good sink on his fastball. He really doesn't. But ordinarily, he's going to keep that ball around the knees. He doesn't get it up in the strike zone too often. Keeps it in the ballpark. That's the key to his success.
Jonathan Lucroy digs in and trying to pick up the crew with a 2-out hit here. Harang's only given up 2 home runs this season. Home run bug bit him last year, especially as a member of the Mariners. It's one of the reasons that he ended up in New York. He gave up 21 home runs in just 22 starts with Seattle last season. That is a big pitcher's ballpark. And Lucroy a little bit late. It was a couple of years there. Harang back-to-back seasons winning 16 games. He led the National League in wins one year back in '06. He's a guy that would give you 30+ starts, 200+ innings.
And numbers like that take their toll on you after a while. He had some back problems for a while. Apparently feeling much better these days.
Braves made 2 big additions to their starting rotation. Irvin Santana, who we saw last night, and then Harang. Ball and a strike on Lucroy. Into right field, slicing, and it is a fair ball. Just tucked it inside the line. In to score is Segura, and Lucroy with an RBI double. What a series he is having, and what a season Lucroy is having against the Atlanta Braves. He's now 11 for 21 against Atlanta.
And what an approach. I mean, check it out. I mean, if you don't do this on that pitch, you're not going to have much success. Always thinking it up the middle into the opposite field. Harang with the pitch middle in, and he just slices it inside that right field line for a 2-out double. And the Brewers once again, just like they did last night, on the board in the first inning.
Lucroy now 7 hits in the series, 4 doubles in this series. And that's a big pick-me-up. Jeanette and Braun could not deliver Segura. Lucroy does. And it's 1-0. A bunt single, a stolen base, put Segura in scoring position. And now we'll see if Mark Reynolds can cash one in. Reynolds, and it's caught by Johnson. Little soft liner for an out to end the inning. But the Brewers score for Matt Garza. He'll take to the Turner Field mound, hoping to get a little redemption after his loss against the Braves back in April. Gonzalez, yeah, the Atlanta Braves, like Renicky in his 4th year, has a couple of playoff appearances the last 2. Associated Bank lineup tonight for Freddie Gonzalez. Jason Hayward back in the leadoff spot, then B.J. Upton hitting 2nd tonight. Freddie Freeman batting 3rd. Middle of the order is Justin Upton, Chris Johnson, and Andrelton Simmons. Dan Uggla's in there this evening. Gerald Laird once again catching. Evan Gaddis is still out with an illness. And Harang rounds it out. And that batting order will face Matt Garza, start number 10 tonight.
Yeah, 2-4 with a 483 earned run average. We talked about it when he came on the air tonight. He's got to manage his first inning a little bit better. 3 runs against the Cubs, and then his final 6 innings, retired 18 of 20. Still looking for his first ever win against Atlanta. He's 0-3 in 4 starts. And boy, was he good against the Braves at Miller Park. He took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. Chris Johnson hit a solo home run, the first hit, the first run, and that's all the Braves needed to win. That's how good Harang was. So Garza looking for a bit of redemption here tonight.
Now Garza, despite that loss, probably his best start as a Brewer. He does have 2 wins. His wins came against the Chicago Cubs and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Both of those wins were at home. He's had some trouble on the road, Matt Garza, even going back to his Cubs days. This year on the road, he's 0-2 with an ERA at 6.8. So he's trying to turn all those numbers around here in the third week of May and get through what has been a very troublesome first inning for Garza. Not just against the Cubs, but the Yankees. He seems like it just takes a while to settle in, get his stuff right. You don't see the normal velocity from Garza in the first inning. So they have made some changes. They didn't really share with us what the changes were, how to get Garza to the mound in his first inning. We'll see. Jason Hayward starts it for the Braves. And Garza's first offering is swung on, and a fly ball. Davis will give it a look. It is slicing, and Davis is there. One pitch and one out for Matt Garza.
Yeah, Garza's given up almost a third of his runs allowed in the first inning. 11 of 31 runs that he has allowed this year have come in the first inning. So I guess that begs a bit of a change-up in the pregame routine. Maybe warm up a little bit longer. Maybe start your warm-ups a bit sooner. We don't know what it was, but they did make an adjustment.
Here's B.J. Upton. Upton elevated to the 2 spot in the order tonight, hitting just 197. Does have 3 homers, 9 runs batted in. Well, Garza making start number 10. As Rock mentioned, he has never beaten the Atlanta Braves. He's 0-3 in 4 starts, 4.5 ERA lifetime against him. As Upton pops it up, foul grounds. Overbay is there, and 2 foul ball outs to start Garza's night tonight.
And both hitters right on the end of the bat. Well, let's check out the Brewers defense, brought to you by Menards. You see Chris Davis back in left field. He got the night off last night. Logan Schaefer in center, and talked about Gomez getting the night off. Jeanette back at second base. It was Ricky out at second base, first game of the series, and Jonathan Lucroy hanging the signs for Matt Garza tonight.
And Logan Schaefer in there for Carlos Gomez as Freddie Freeman swings away at the first pitch, and that one will end up in the seats. Now the Brewers don't lose much in center field. They do lose a Gold Glover, don't get me wrong, but Logan Schaefer is a very accomplished center fielder with a lot of speed and a lot of ground to cover out there. Davis, Schaefer, and Braun make up the outfield tonight. This will be a key matchup for Garza. It is for every pitcher against the Braves. MVP candidate Freddie Freeman made the All-Star team for the first time last year, and the Braves locked him up to an 8-year contract, recognizing what he means to this franchise. Garza eats him up downstairs. 1-2 the count.
And that's ordinarily where Freddie Freeman likes the baseball, down around the shins, down around the ankles. He doubled on a pitch down there yesterday.
Has had some success against Garza. Has a home run among his 4 hits. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Freeman breaks his bat. Garza is plowing through the lumber here in this first inning.
Just has nice rhythm out there tonight. Got a little bit of more of a giddy up on his fastball in the first inning. Whatever the adjustment so far has been pretty good for him. He's got better command of his fastball.
Now, if you were with us during our Brewers Live pregame show, Telly Hughes gave you the story of the Brewers changes in the coaching ranks tonight. Some graduations are going down with the pitching coach and the bullpen coach. And so that's only news because Matt Garza is such a routine-oriented guy, and tonight he has to prepare. Starting pitchers always go through the steps, the exercises with their pitching coach, Rick Kranitz. Kranitz is not here. He's back in Arizona for a child's graduation, and Garza working with Rick Tomlin tonight, who's the minor league pitching coordinator. There's Rick keeping a close eye on his hurler tonight.
It's also newsworthy because very rarely do you see both the pitching coach and the bullpen coach, and in this case the pitching coach's assistant both gone at the same time. Yesterday Lee Tunner was the acting pitching coach. He was in the dugout keeping an eye on Kyle Loesch. Didn't have much to do with Loesch out there.
Yeah, easy night last night.
Right.
Tomlin hoping for the same tonight. Marcus Hanel is the acting bullpen coach again tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes to count. And Freeman fouls it away. And again, it's only newsworthy because of the starting pitcher situation, and Garza in the middle of this wave now where he's actually trying to change his pregame preparations to have more success in the first inning. Two and 2 to Freeman. He fouls another one away, so Garza can't quite put him away. Freeman hanging tough. 8 pitches in the at-bat thus far.
And remember a few years ago, Dave Bush, Brewers starter, always had a tough time in the first inning, and they changed up his routine before a game. He'd go out there a little bit earlier, warm up, sit down, come back, and start throwing again. And those are some of the things you can do to maybe have some better success early on.
We'll try it again. Another 2-2 offering. And Freeman, a soft liner to first. And Garza, a mini pump of the fist right there. He puts up a 0 in the first. 1-0 Crew.
Early 1-0 lead over the Braves in the top of the second inning. Let's take a look at our Felt Gold All-Star update. You see the players that you can vote to this year's All-Star game at Target Field in Minneapolis. Vote now at Brewers.com. Each email account you can vote up to 25 times each time. And speaking of Ramirez, he did some light jogging today, and I had a chance to ask him how he felt, and he said a lot better, and this hot weather has really helped him out. As for Carlos Gomez, I asked Ron Renicky, was it just a day to give him to just kind of relax? And he said it's not anything serious, but it's enough there for him to have a day off. He said he didn't want him to keep pressing through the sore back, the sore lower back, and make it even worse than what it really is. So he figured give him a day off tonight and he'll be ready to go in Miami tomorrow night. So BA, nothing serious, but he said he did feel a lot of pain on those swings and misses, and he doesn't want to make it any worse.
Yeah, and especially that last at bat, he was noticeably wincing in his final at bat yesterday. And the Brewers are not clicking on all cylinders here health wise. Ryan Braun still dealing with that oblique injury. He's not swinging as free and easy as he'd like. And I know these guys are waiting on Aramis Ramirez to come back, and hopefully he comes back healthy and hot, ready to swing the bat. That'll allow Renicky to probably buy a little extra time for Braun as well. One gone for Chris Davis into center field. A little bit off the end of the bat, and Upton is there for the second out of the inning. Rock, I'm always fascinated by the everyday players, especially the star players, the guys you're counting on like Gomez, Ramirez, Braun, your big run producers. When they are nicked up, banged up, how they can actually improve while they're in the lineup every day, like Gomez. And it's always an interesting study, and the preparations that they have to make before they actually play in a game to be ready to perform when the lights are on.
Yeah, I remember Robert Yount going through that, in my early days in the big leagues, when Robin would spend good 2 hours in the training room trying to get ready, that bad back, and he would be able to go out there and nobody would ever know that he had an issue, and after the game having a tough time. Not everybody can do that. I mean, there are players out there, they have a little bit of a nick and not feeling all that great. They're going to take time off. But Gomez is the kind of a guy, understands his importance to this team and the lineup. And he wants to be out there. It's mind over matter with Gomez.
Logan Schaefer drives one in the gap. It's down, a base hit. Schaefer on his way to second base. The throw is cut off, and it's a double. Another 2-out double for the Brewers tonight. And Logan Schaefer delivers with a hit.
Yeah, it was Logan Schaefer that picked up the first hit against Aaron Harang back in Miller Park. Harang had a no-hitter until Schaefer able to roll one into center field for a base hit. So he takes one out into left center. A 2-out double. If nothing else, he clears Garza in the lineup. Garza will get an at-bat here in the second. Won't have to lead off the third.
So 2 outs for Garza. Garza has a hit this year. He's 1 for 19 at the plate. Does have a sacrifice bunt. Not a bad swing there. He's trying to get his career batting average not off the interstate, on the interstate this season. He is a career 092 hitter.
So he's got a chance.
He's got to get hot.
Yeah.
He's got to get hot.
Few hits should do it.
He has 13 hits in his life in the big leagues. Not known as much of a threat with the bat in his hands, as it takes strike 2 from Harang.
He spent a lot of years in the American League, didn't get too many at bats. We'll use that as an excuse. How about that?
He's got some hits in him, though, especially over there to right field, kind of shallow right. Here's the 0-2, and Garza strikes out. So the inning ends. Garza's spot cleared. Justin Upton will lead off.
Second inning here in Atlanta, Georgia. He experienced Brewers baseball like a VIP in one of Miller Park's 5 spectacular all-inclusive areas. Enjoy the game in style with exclusive amenities, a full buffet, and complimentary beverages. Tickets start at just $48. Call 414-902-4777 or go to brewers.com/all-in.
Good to see the cheese represented here in the South. Cheese goes great with sweet tea, you know. Carsoup.com trivia question tonight. Who leads the National League in runs scored since 2009? Good question. Segura scoring a run in the first. Came to the big leagues at the end of the 2012 season. We'll have that answer for you in a few innings, or when producer Brad Weimer, the big dog, decides to let us in on that. Brad Weimer producing, Michael Vetter directing. Dave Trout also in the truck doing whatever he does. And it's great to have you with us from Atlanta tonight. Justin Upton will lead off. He'll be followed by Chris Johnson, then Andrelton Simmons. Good start for Garza. 3 up, 3 down. A couple of pop fly foul ball outs. And now we'll face the middle of this order. Upton has been a heavy hitter here at Turner Field this season. Has 12 home runs. Homered in the first 2 games of this series. Had a couple of hits last night as well, on a night when Kyle Loesch wasn't giving up much. Upton had 3 hits and drove in a run. 2 of those hits against Loesch. In the air to right. That'll stay playable for Braun. Yep. Garza retiring the first 4.
Upton's got 6 hits in the first 3 games. So seeing the baseball well, actually driving the ball to the opposite field pretty well. Well, you know, a guy like Justin Upton, a big power hitter, you know they're seeing the ball well and confident when they're driving it to right field.
Now here's Chris Johnson. He homered against Garza in that April 2nd pitchers duel between Garza and Harang. That was the only run Garza allowed, the only run of the game. Mad went 8 innings and gave up just 2 hits. Johnson took him deep to left center. That was Garza's first start as a Brewer.
He just sees the ball pretty well against Garza. 2 career home runs and 5 for 9 is Johnson against Matt Garza.
Now Garza hoping Kyle Loesch put Chris Johnson in a tailspin last night. He really struggled against Loesch. Slightly off the end of the bat, dropping fast. And Schaefer, who was playing deep, will play it on a hop. Base hit for Johnson. First hit for the Atlanta Braves. It comes with 1 out in the second.
Took him a while to read it. And Schaefer playing deep. You see him going across, and then he has to come in. And Johnson with a big swing right down on the end of the bat, and like Logan was playing it like it was hit pretty well.
And here is Andrelton Simmons. He's got to feel like he has made it tonight. It is Andrelton Simmons' bobblehead night at Turner Field. Complete with the Gold Glove as well on that bobblehead. Won the Gold Glove last year, first one of his career. One of the game's bright young stars. There's a look at the bobblehead. That's wow, that's Phantom Cam bobble right there. That's nice. It's an extremely Gold Glove. Phantom Cam makes everything look good, including bobbleheads.
Head on that thing looked pretty big, didn't it?
A little top heavy.
A little top heavy. Nice Gold Glove though. Don't say it. I see you thinking over there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yes, you do.
I think Carlos Gomez was paying homage to you before the game.
Complimentary, I'm sure.
Yeah, he was walking through the dugout just before the first pitch with an actual bucket on his head.
And so that automatically to you is paying homage to me.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. It's going to be one of these nights tonight.
I mean, you are the kind of the king of the Buckethead Brigade,
you're
right?
Right. Yeah, I get it.
No longer an official thing, but it's out there. Simmons pops it up. Looks like it's headed for the seats, coming back off the dugout.
Once a Buckethead, always a Buckethead, right?
Now watch this. See? Let's see that. That's kind of paying homage to me right there. And then later he went with the big bucket, the bigger bucket. So I think he's all right. Gomez is not in the lineup today, but feeling spry enough to have a little fun. Garza at a 2-1 count on the free swinging Braves shortstop Simmons. Runner takes off and a bouncer right to Jeanette, going to second, and safe there, out at first. Close play at second. Jeanette took a shot at it, and you got to give Segura a lot of credit for standing in there tough with Johnson coming in on him.
No, that's an automatic play right there. You know you have plenty of time to be able to get the runner at first base, so you take the chance, see if you're going to be able to get the out. Ron Renicky on his way out. Maybe want to have another look at that one. Yeah, the backhand flip. I'll tell you, that's pretty close. Is he on the bag right there? I'm not sure. But Segura still able to get the out at first base.
And they are going to take a look at it. So the Brewers believe they have a chance to get an out here. So the crew chief, Fielden Colbreth, will come over. He's the home plate umpire. He'll put the headset on. And the calling umpire, Seth Buckminster. Buckminster had to avoid the line drive. And that first angle probably the best. But there's a chance here. It's going to be a 4-6-3 put out regardless. Got a chance to have a double play to end the inning here. Call on the field is safe. And in the replay review center in New York, the team of umpires that have been assembled there tonight, regular umpires that are spending this part of the rotation in New York.
He looks out. I mean, they're showing it on the replay up on the scoreboard, and they've showed a couple of different angles on it. And you know, the Brewers might get a call here. It's awfully close, though.
Matt Garza taking a few tosses to stay loose.
That's about as bang bang as it gets.
I read a quote from Major League umpire Joe West. He was talking about, and he's been in that replay center as well. All of these umpires on the field, they take their turn in that replay center, and Phantom Cam has a great look, and he's out. So that's the best look. That's going to be the definitive look, I would imagine. That
it's just so close. I mean, you got to remember the call is safe, so it has to be clear and convincing evidence to overturn it. Whether they see that in New York or not remains to be seen.
Now, Joe West was saying if it takes time, a little time, it's usually inconclusive. He was talking about the steps they go through in that replay center in New York. This is the big change this year in baseball, the added review. And there's the freeze frame of it. The ball is in the glove, foot on the bag. Johnson's foot's not there. I'm not sure why this is taking so long.
And it does look like he's out on that replay. And here comes a decision from Fielden Colbreth.
And out it is. So that will be a double play that will end the inning. And Ron Renicky gets the call overturned. A successful challenge sends us to the third. They lead 1-0. Just had a challenge and a call overturned. Now it's time now for you to tweet your photo to us using hashtag WizFanPhoto. You'll have a chance to have it shown in an upcoming broadcast, and it's brought to you by AT&T. The Brewers are now 5-3 in challenges this year. And good work by our crew. I think one thing to keep in mind is Segura leads off, and Harang deals strike one. One thing to remember, while the replay center in New York and both clubs in their clubhouses have the ability to look at all these different angles and all these different cameras, I think it's up to 12 inputs that they can watch as far as camera angles, and a number of the cameras are Major League Baseball's cameras that we don't use on the air. But there are people behind those cameras. There are technicians, skilled technicians at that, who bring you these great shots. And I mean, they've become part of the game now and part of the strategy as far as the replay review is concerned. And a great job by our crew tonight capturing the images that allowed the umpires to get the call right. Sometimes we forget about those folks behind the cameras, and we have a great crew here in Atlanta. We always enjoy working here. Segura laying off an 0-2 pitch, goes to 1-2. Gene in the leadoff spot tonight. He scored the only run, bunted his way on, had a bunt single, stole a base, scored on Lucroy's 2-out RBI double. And that ball's hit into left center. Gonna get down and go all the way to the wall, and Segura on his way to second, thinking about third, and he'll hit the brakes around second base. A double for Gene Segura.
All of a sudden liking that leadoff spot. Doesn't seem like he's having any problems with it tonight. A bunt base hit to start the game. He came around to score. Now leadoff double. Well, there's the advantage when you don't have to deal with your pitcher leading off an inning. So Logan Schaefer in the top of the second inning doubles with 2 outs. You get rid of Garza in that lineup, and you have a leadoff double with Segura. That's why that number 8 hitter is so important in that major league lineup. Figure out any way to get on base.
All right, Jeanette now with Segura in scoring position again with nobody out, and Jeanette drops a bunt down. Harang coming in, winds it up, and the throw, and it's in time. That was close. Freeman did a good job to catch that ball before it hit Jeanette, but that'll go as a sacrifice. And Segura ends up at third base. That was a close play, and Ron Renicky is actually on his way out. Now remember, Renicky's challenge was a successful challenge, so he still has one.
Yeah. This will be his last one if he does decide to go after the challenge. Aaron Harang was kind of feeling helpless. He had to wait for that ball to come down. And it looks like he's going to be an out. That's an out, so I don't think Renicky's going to challenge that.
And a quick answer, Renicky on his way back. They talked to us at the beginning of the year. Joe Torre made an appearance at our Fox baseball seminar. He talked about the ball entering the glove, and they've actually defined it when it's actually an out entering the glove. When
the baseball actually hits the leather of the glove, not when the glove closes around the baseball. So it's a bit of a, it's kind of an opinion of the guys who are looking at that play when the actual baseball contacts the leather.
They're talking frame by frame, and it came up last year in the World Series. That was the example they used. That close play at first base last year. Let's see how close this one was. Another great look courtesy of Phantom Cam, and
clear.
And an easy call. We say easy when you slow it down to those speeds.
Yeah.
Infield end, 1 out. Segura at third. Braun fouls it away. I've heard some criticism about the replay system in baseball this year, and it's not perfect, but I was sold on the replay system prior to spring training when they made the presentation, and Joe Torre talked about it's going to be a 2 or 3 year process. There's going to be things that are going to change. They've already changed one item. That's how the ball is transferred out of the glove.
Right, and they need to do that.
Yeah.
And they did that, and that was kind of creating some problems, but they got it right. Didn't take them long to make an adjustment on that. But I think the replay system's working very well in Brewers games. I can't speak for any other games. We don't see them. But things have gone pretty well with the replay.
Well, it certainly is a more civil game. You don't see a lot of arguments anymore. Not the traditional arguments anyway. You don't see a lot of ejections.
I don't know if that's all that good either, though.
You kind of like that.
I used to like the arguments. Managers going out, a little bit of a dust up with an umpire, the heave ho. That was part of the game. You don't see it anymore.
Normally ejections are occurring now on arguing balls and strikes. 2-2 to Braun. Infield end for the Braves. Count goes full. Yeah, Braun, you can see just trying to get stretched out. That oblique still bothering him. He spent a couple of weeks on the disabled list. It's not 100%, but he knows how valuable he is to the club. He knows he has to be in the lineup.
This weather's got to help him quite a bit.
3-2. And Braun on the ground. That's going to keep Segura at third. And again, Braun grounds out to the shortstop with a runner in scoring position. You don't see that very often from Ryan Braun.
It just appears that Brawny's starting that bat a little bit sooner than he ordinarily does, which means he probably is having an issue with that oblique. Not waiting back, driving that baseball up the middle. And nobody better at that than Ryan Braun, up the middle into right field.
Jimmy John's freaky fast delivery. Jonathan Lucroy as the Brewers had a man in scoring position in the first with 2 outs. He drove in Gene Segura, and the Brewers on the board quickly tonight. Lucroy with RBI number 17 on his 4th double of this series.
Yeah, you take video of every one of his at-bats in this series and you send it to every little league team in the country. I mean, that's how you hit. I mean, Jonathan Lucroy right now seeing the baseball well, staying close, swinging strikes, and hitting the ball where it's pitched, thinking up the middle, opposite field. Sounds like an easy concept, but it takes a lot of confidence in your hands. You have to have a lot of confidence in your ability. Just watch the front shoulder of Lucroy. That's gives you the one big reason why he's been swinging the bat so well. Not pulling off, head stays on the baseball, shoulder stays closed, and not trying to do too much with it.
Two and one to Lucroy. Mark Reynolds on deck. Brewers got a run on the first off Harang. They've had 3 doubles in this game so far. 7 doubles in the series. 7 of their 27 hits in this 4-game series thus far. And Lucroy back up the middle, base hit. And another 2-out RBI for Jonathan Lucroy. The Brewers take a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, at some point they're going to stop pitching to Lucroy in these situations with first base open. Of course, you got a big power threat behind him in the lineup, so Gene Segura scoring both of the Brewers runs tonight. Check it out, a slider. It was up, but it was on the corner. And Lucroy didn't try and pull it and banged it right back into center field. Another great at bat by Lucroy.
So Segura on base twice out of that leadoff spot, scores twice, courtesy of excellent 2-out hitting by Lucroy. 2-0 Brew Crew on 5 hits now as Reynolds takes strike 1.
And just watch where he makes contact with this baseball. Remember, the pitch is up, but it's out on the outside corner and hits it right off of that front foot. Not out in front too much, and a line drive into center field.
That is a classic swing by Jonathan Lucroy. Short and compact and He packed some power in that swing as well. You know, he had 18 home runs last year.
Just on good balance after the swing, head down, and not, just not trying to hit home runs, just trying to do what the situation dictates. All he needed was a base hit, and that's how he was swinging.
I'll see if Reynolds can get a hold of one here. Reynolds hit a soft liner to third in the first inning. Hit it fairly well. He was out in front a touch. And he lined out to third base. That ended the first. His home run yesterday, the grand slam, was pulled to left. Third career grand slam for Mark Reynolds. The first grand slam of the season for Milwaukee. And that was a much needed moment last night. The Brewers struggling to score runs. Had only scored 5 runs in a 4-game losing streak. Powerball home run number 9 for Mark Reynolds. He got 4 quick ones with 1 swing of the bat.
Yep, and a slider out in front, still strong enough to knock it out of here.
And he chased one. Harang strikes him out. That'll retire the side. But Lucroy drives in a run, and the Brewers lead 2-0. Two-out RBI hits. Well, a double play ended the last inning for Garza. Went to a review challenge. It was overturned. Goes 4-6-3. Our Southwest Airlines non-stoppable play, and a good call by Renicky to go for review. And that's how the second ended for Matt Garza. So he's off to a good start. Brewers have given him a couple of runs of support. Garza will start this third inning with the bottom of the order coming up.
And Matt Garza much more efficient tonight than he was early in the ball game against the Cubs. Only 22 pitches to get through 2 innings.
Garza will face Dan Uggla to start it. Starts have been few and far between for Dan Uggla here recently. Making just his second start in the last 2 weeks. Did have a start in St. Louis. Braves lost that series to the Cardinals 2 out of 3, but they had a snatch 'em back on Sunday. A comeback win. They beat Rosenthal in the 9th inning, scored a couple of runs. Won the first 2 games of this series before the Brewers finally won last night. As Uggla takes a rip and fouls it back.
Pretty good pitch to hit, but that's where Dan Uggla is right now. Just fouls it straight back. He was on it, but underneath. This guy's about as streaky as it gets. If he's not playing, he doesn't have a chance to get real hot.
Tough decisions for Freddie Gonzalez. Ugla was brought here to hit right in the middle of that order and be a big run producer, and he is paid like a big run producer. It just hasn't worked out for him. He was left off the postseason roster last year. Ugla and Freddie Gonzalez have been together for a long time. They were also together with the Marlins. And Garza misses, so Ugla, a struggling hitter, draws the walk to start the inning. Didn't miss by much. And a leadoff base runner for Atlanta.
Yeah, the Brewers take on the rivals from the Windy City Friday, May 30th through Sunday, June 1st. Reserve your seats today at Brewers.com or call 414-902-4000 when the Chicago Cubs come to Miller Park for a weekend series.
One of Garza's wins against the Chicago Cubs. He's coming off a loss against them his last time out. Lead runner on for Gerald Laird. First ball swinging. High fly ball. Deep center. Carrying. Schaefer with room to make the play. That's where the wind is blowing tonight. Whipping through Turner Field, and then the jet stream out to right center. That ball had some travel to it.
Yeah, pretty deep out there. It's 390 to straightaway right center. Logan Schaefer able to move over and haul it in about midway on the warning track. Doesn't look like a very big ballpark when you look at the dimensions, but it plays fairly big.
So that'll bring up Aaron Harang. Showing bunt, gets it down. Garza underhands it to Jeanette. Jeanette wasn't quite there yet, but Garza trying to get rid of that hot potato. He's had his troubles throwing the ball to first, and underhanded is his preference.
Yeah, I mean he'll underhand it even further back than that.
Sacrifice bunt.
I don't even think he looked to see if Jeanette was there yet. He just kind of flipped it over to first base, and Scooter able to grab it for the out.
Of all the elements that Garza was dealing with, Jeanette wasn't one of them. Getting rid of the ball.
There it goes. Nobody there, though. Oh, there he is.
Runs right into it. We kid because we care, but it has been a problem for him. And can cost him runs at times, and he knows it. It's one of those things. So 2 outs. Ugla at second, and Hayward up there. Good block back there by Lucroy.
The funny thing about Garza, though, is when they work on it on PFP, in spring training, and sometimes you'll see the Brewers, doing pitchers fielding practice, before the normal batting practice at home. Yeah, no problem throwing to the bases, none whatsoever. But a little bit different in the game.
They call it the thing. If he was a golfer, they'd call it the shanks.
And there's no cure.
No. Ball and a strike. Hayward through the hole. Base hit. Ugla coming around third, and he's going to score. So the 2-out RBI hits are the story tonight. Hayward for the Braves puts them on the board. It's 2-1 Milwaukee now.
Fastball in the outside corner. Might have been up a little bit. Outside corner. Good approach by Hayward to shoot it into that vacated hole. They had Segura up the middle on the shift. So the walk to Ugla comes around to score. At the walk, the sacrifice, and the base hit.
And for Hayward, RBI number 11 out of the leadoff spot. That extends his hitting streak to 10 games in a row. And Ugla comes all the way around. 2-1 Brew Crew. 2 outs. Hayward a threat to run at first. Here's B.J. Upton. Popped him up. That'll be Ryan Braun settling under, and the side is retired. But the Braves score. They get a 2-out RBI single from Hayward. We're headed to the fourth. Two to one Brewers. Lucroy with both of the Milwaukee RBIs, and Harang goes to work against Lyle Overbay now. Overbay, Davis, and Schaefer. If anybody gets on, Matt Garza will bat in this fourth inning. Final game of the series tonight. The Brewers are headed to Miami after the game. 3-game series starting tomorrow with the Marlins. Overbay hits that one into deep left center field, and that's down a base hit. It's going to be another double. Well, the doubles are coming fast tonight for the Brew Crew. Overbay with a leadoff double. Brewers have had one in each of the first 4 innings tonight.
And Lyle Overbay doing a nice job driving that pitch to the opposite field. Pitch away from him and didn't try and pull it, and just rips it into the gap. So yet another leadoff base runner for the Brewers. That's 3 and 4 innings.
And back-to-back innings with leadoff doubles. Overbay still has the Brewers franchise record for doubles in a season. Here's Chris Davis. Davis with 14 runs batted in. He hit his 5th home run of the season here at Turner Field on Monday night. Chris has had his moments this year. Seems to be at his best in the late innings. We were talking about his batting average per inning in Chicago and how coming off his walk-off hit against the Pirates at Miller Park, he's been clutch late in games. He's got a batting average in the 9th inning or later over 300. Not all of those games are close games, but Davis has been a part of some big moments early for the Brewers, despite a .218 average coming into play.
Extra inning home run to win a ball game in Pittsburgh. Then he started out for an inning in extra innings in St. Louis with a leadoff triple. Hit the triple to right field, and those are things that Chris has to do a little bit better job of, shooting the ball to the opposite field. Take that Jonathan Lucroy approach.
And Davis back up the middle, ranging over is Simmons. Throw to first is in time. So the Gold Glover makes the play, but on that ground ball, Overbay able to advance to third. productive out for Chris Davis.
Got it up the middle, able to advance the runner. Let's see how Aaron Harang and the Braves want to play this one with Logan Schaefer already with a double tonight. You've got the pitcher on deck.
Schaefer one of 4 doubles tonight. Brewers have 9 doubles in the series. Braves bring their infield in. Schaefer also a very good bunter if you're thinking about a potential squeeze here. Drops a little breaking ball, just missing upstairs. Leadoff double by Overbays, now at third. Brewers trying to get the run back.
Probably a little bit early for a squeeze. I think the way Logan should be been able to swing the bat against Harang, you're probably going to see him swing away, particularly with the count in his favor. We'll see. Nope.
And here it comes, and Schaefer gets the bunt down. Overbay scores. Schaefer is out. And a squeeze bunt. The Brewers take a 3-1 lead.
So much for that. I was thinking whether I should say that. I guess I should take it back. But 4th inning squeeze bunt, relatively early, but the Brewers able to execute it. You know, Logan able to get the ball down, and Overbay taking off at a perfect time. Didn't leave too early. They disguised the squeeze as best they could and able to drop it down for a run.
An excellent job by Logan Schaefer. That's such a risk-reward move early, as Garza with a big swing. Obviously, if you pop that up, turns into a double play, you're going to have the pitcher lead off the next inning. But
right,
you know, the Brewers, even with 6 runs last night, that came on 2 swings of the bat. It's not like the Brewers are bludgeoning the baseball right now.
And that's probably why they did do the squeeze. I mean, because the runs have been hard to come by. All the home runs in yesterday's game, the result of homers. Who was able to execute better tonight.
So Logan Schaefer, a squeeze bunt and an RBI. Brewers lead 3-1.
It is brought to you by Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. By Marshfield Clinic, don't just live, shine. And by First Supply, with 115 years of service and 28 locations, professional contractors choose First Supply.
Thursday night, sun setting in the south, Atlanta, Georgia. Last night here for the Brewers, they lead it 3-1. Scoring single tallies in 3 of the 4 innings tonight. Got time for our AT fan photo, and we asked you to send in your tweets. #WisFanPhoto. This comes from Jesse. I'm guessing Jesse's in the middle since it's from her Twitter account. Yes? It's all brought to you by AT&T. Don't forget, you can send us your pictures, and we'll try to get them in an upcoming game in the broadcast if they are compelling enough.
That's a good guess in the middle. I'm done guessing tonight.
Logan Schaefer driving in a run on a squeeze bunt.
Yeah, in the 4th inning. You know, that was one of those situations where I think if Harang was able to get ahead 1 strike on Schaefer, they might not have pulled off the squeeze. I think the fact that he was 1-0 in the count and figured Harang was going to throw a strike, he had pulled the squeeze off, and Schaefer doing a nice job putting it on the ground.
Now Matt Garza working up a good lather tonight. Sacramento native. And ready to face Freddie Freeman to start this frame. Freeman, Upton, Justin Upton that is, and Chris Johnson. Freeman had a soft line drive out to first, his first time up. 3 up, 3 down first inning for Garza, which is newsworthy. First innings have been his nemesis innings so far this season, but not tonight here against the Braves.
And basically going fastball slider. That one just spun up there, didn't have much of a break on it, but he's locating well, keeping his fastball down in the strike zone.
Got in on his hands, a little pop up. Schaefer's got a long way to go. Got a good jump on it, and he'll haul it in for the out. Freeman is 0 for 2 tonight. Take you back to our carsoup.com trivia as Justin Upton steps in with 1 out. Who leads the National League in runs scored since 09? Take a guess. Justin Upton.
I would not have guessed that.
Some of that with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Right.
Last year and this year with the Atlanta Braves. And there's the list. Since 09, Andrew McCutchen, Ryan Braun, 3rd on that list. So not only do you have to get yourself on base, and certainly Upton has the power to produce his own runs with home runs, but you have to have a good offense around you getting on base.
And good speed.
There is an art to scoring runs, and some players are better than others. If you think about going station to station, how one player may advance, getting good reads on baseballs, maybe going first to third.
Got to be durable, able to stay on the field since 2009. And interesting, it's not a leadoff hitter. Of course, leadoff hitters bounce around. I mean, you don't have that prototypical leadoff hitter anymore in baseball. Not too many left. A guy like Paul Molitor, a guy like Ricky Henderson, those guys just aren't around anymore. Most teams are struggling to find a leadoff hitter.
Milwaukee trading their leadoff hitter, Nori Aoki, to the Royals to pick up a talented left-hander, Will Smith, who has now emerged as the setup man. There's so many different numbers, and if you get into the metrics, and ball clubs are evaluating players, teams, combinations of lineups based on those metrics, but and those are all the proper things to do from an evaluation perspective. But the name of the game is scoring runs at the end of the day, and for pitchers, limiting runs. ERA can be deceiving, especially for relief pitchers. But wins and runs still matter a lot. And there are pitchers who are better winners than others, and sometimes don't show up in the metrics. I think there's a balance there. There may not be in the media. I know there's been kind of a back and forth. It's a little bit of an antagonistic relationship between what has been labeled new age stats, which really isn't new age at all. I mean, they've been keeping stats and breaking down formulas for players for a long time. They now have names and they're branded certain ways, but they've been combining walks and hits per innings pitched forever.
Just didn't have a name on it.
Now it's called whip, which makes sense. I don't think there's that kind of discourse in organizations as much as we see it now and hear it now, and the old school thinking versus the new school. I'm not sure that actually exists in an organization right now. If you go around and talk to general managers, everybody does a little bit of both.
Just a lot of different ways now to evaluate players, and players don't necessarily like it too much.
That's true.
I mean, you can look at a player and you can find negative stats on a guy, on any player, if you dig deep enough.
Garza walks Justin Upton, his second walk. I always thought Craig Counsell put it best. He's now working in the Brewers front office. I would consider Doug Melvin an old school type general manager, but he accepts a lot of the statistical analysis on how to evaluate players. And Craig Counsell made the point, we're not trying to, with our numbers, we're not trying to see what a player has been. We want to try to see if we can forecast what he will be based on what we've seen from him, especially coming through the minor leagues. There's so many variables.
Too bad they can't forecast injuries.
Yeah, right.
That's been the biggest problem. I mean, all throughout baseball this year. Talking about Prince Fielder maybe out for the season, a neck problem. Joey Votto back on the disabled list. Jay Bruce just came back, so guys just getting hurt at a record clip this year.
Bouncing ball, got a chance to turn it here. Jeanette Segura over to first, low throw, dug out by Overbay. And another double play, 4-6-3, the second double play of the night for Matt Garza. Oh, the Keystone combo, Jeanette to Segura, having a good night defensively. Warmest night we've had, 86 degrees, our game time temperature tonight. And we're on our way to the fifth now. Matt Garza with a couple of double plays behind him. He's given up one run through the first 4 innings. The Brewers with 3 on the board. And Gene Segura has been at the center of it all in that leadoff spot this evening. Bunt single in the first, a stolen base and a run scored. He doubled and scored a run in the third. A slow roller. Harang can't get there, and that's going to be another hit for Gene Segura. Once it got past Harang, that was it.
Well, so you had another leadoff base runner for the Brewers. Now 4 out of 5. Yeah, a little cue shot off the end of the bat. And Harang sometimes has a tough time fielding his position, not running all that well these days, and a bit back issues, not able to bend down, and another base hit for Segura. 2 of them infield hits.
So Segura 3 for 3, and he's on for Scooter Gennett to start this 5th inning. The Brewers have had their leadoff man reach in the last 3 innings. and 4 of the 5 innings tonight. Jeanette is 0 for 1. Had a sacrifice bunt his last time up. All 3 leadoff batters to reach base for the Brewers have scored tonight. Segura twice, and Overbase scored in the 4th. Segura looks like he wants to run. You don't see many quick, firm throws to first base with Aaron Harang. He kind of just lobs him over there to let you know he's thinking about you. He is a pitcher you can run on, although he's a crafty veteran. He'll do a lot of things to disrupt your timing. That's about as firm as you'll see Harang throw the ball to first base right there.
Saving his bullets.
Segura does have a steal tonight. Stays put, and Jeanette, a liner caught, throw to first, out, double play.
A tough break for Scooter, and Gene Segura just took one too many steps towards second base on that line drive. And a quick throw by Uga to get him, doubled him off. Boy, it only takes a little bit for these guys with these arms to be able to get you a little bit too far off the bag, and that was an easy call over at first base.
Wipes out the leadoff base runner. 2 gone for Elian Herrera, pinch hitting for Ryan Braun. So after the first 2 at bats by Braun, you could just tell he wasn't right, and he's out. And on a night when Carlos Gomez is out of the lineup, Aramis Ramirez still on the disabled list. Now Braun is done for the rest of the day. It has been that kind of month. Brewers were relatively healthy in April, won 20 ball games the first month of the year. They're trying to piece things together here in the second month. Still 9 games over, though.
Yeah, still playing well, and not winning like they were in April, but boy, what an April it was for the Brewers. Role players stepping up, they got to pick up the slack.
Cardinals have gotten hot. They've won 7 of their last 10, including back-to-back nights with victories. So they're sitting there 2.5 back of the Brewers in the Central Division. Cardinals are now 4 over 500. So only 2 teams in the division over 500 at this point, the Brewers and the Cardinals. Reds are 3 under. Pittsburgh is 7 under. And the Cubs are 16 and 28. They lost an extra innings yesterday
to the Yankees.
Full count to Herrera, pinch hitting for Ryan Braun. Down he goes. Strikes him out to end it. 3-1 Milwaukee on the way to the bottom of the 5th.
connecting with the crew and the community. Mark Antanasio, along with the Brewers Community Foundation, have established the Leadership Council, a strong group of caring companies that serve as presenting sponsors for key foundation events. This powerful collaboration demonstrates that when we all play on the same team, everyone wins. The 2014 Leadership Council includes BMO Harris, Delta Dental, Delzer, Capco, Miller Coors, Northwestern Mutual Foundation, West Bend, Wisconsin Energy Foundation, Johnson Controls, and Luber and Company. This is clearly a win for our community. And Ryan Braun exited the game here in the top of the 5th inning, and we're still waiting on report on the word as to why he had to exit here tonight, B.A.
All right, thanks, Telly. As Elian Herrera struck out in his pinch hit appearance, and now in right field. So the Brewers without Gomez and Braun tonight. An outfield of Davis, Schaefer, and Herrera. Matt Garza has surrendered just 2 hits. He gave up a run in the 3rd inning. It was an RBI single by Hayward. And he's moving down to the bottom of the order now with the Braves. He'll have Simmons, Ugla, and Laird. If anybody gets on, the pitcher Harang would bat. And Simmons on the first pitch. Little fly ball to Davis. 1 pitch, 1 out. Garza retires the Gold Glove shortstop. Hey, Saturday is a full day of MLB action, beginning with the Rangers taking on the Tigers on Fox Sports 1. And then the season premiere of Baseball Night in America on Fox as the Cardinals battle the Reds, the Royals square off against the Angels, or the Nationals and the Pirates. Our MLB doubleheader begins Saturday, 2:30 Central on Fox Sports 1, continues at 6 p.m. Central on Fox. Garza dealing strike 1 to Dan Ugla.
Yeah, pitching with a lot of confidence tonight. You can tell that just by the pace that he's getting the baseball and firing back to Lucroy. Seemed like they're on the same page. He's got confidence in his location.
Ugla pops it up, had him out in front. And Davis will make the play, out number 2. So 2 up, 2 down for Garza. Looking for a quick inning here in the 5th. Got a chance to do it here. Laird is a guy who likes to swing early in the count. But watching Garza get 2 outs on 3 pitches, unlikely he'd be swinging at the first pitch, which takes him out of his groove. You know what I mean? He's ready to hack. Oh, he is swinging away. And a breaking ball from Garza. So much for that. He says everybody else is on your own. Been very efficient tonight, Garza.
Yeah, when you don't play a whole lot and you just get a pitch you like and go to hacking. Forget about waiting around.
Laird is making his 3rd consecutive start. Evan Gattis came down with a virus that knocked him out of game 2, and he has not been able to return. They're hoping he'll be back tomorrow. But Laird, the backup catcher, enjoying the playing time for now. Two balls and a strike. And 3-1. Braves will welcome in the Rockies next. Colorado coming in here tomorrow. Still have 5 more games on this homestand. Colorado for 3, and then the Red Sox will be here for 2. Interleague matchup. That Braves connection between Boston and Atlanta that has Milwaukee in between. Not the same franchise as the Red Sox, but the National League version of the Braves began in Boston, competing against the fans for the American League Braves or rather Red Sox in Boston. Moved to Milwaukee in the 50s, left Milwaukee in the 60s, and have been here in Atlanta ever since. Center field for Schaefer.
And a quick inning for Matt Garza. 9 pitches. Dispatches the Braves in order as we go to the 6th.
Brewers over the Braves 3-1. We just got word from the Brewers clubhouse that Ryan Braun had to exit tonight's game in the top of the 5th inning with tightness in his right side. That's the same kind of tightness that led him to miss 14 games earlier this month, and we'll have a further update of his injury coming up in Brewers Live post game. But once again, tightness in his right side. Ryan Braun exited tonight's ball game. BA.
All right, Telly, thanks. Braun leaves 0 for 2 tonight. Couple of ground outs. Elian Herrera taking over for him. That's a pretty solid baby right there, too.
You like the baby
not
shots,
quite,
don't you?
Not quite as good as the Milwaukee baby. But that's up there. It's top 5.
Would you categorize that as a tweeted baby shot like you did the other one last night?
I think that's tweetable, that baby right there. The Captain America kind of upgrades the baby in this particular case. Just makes you smile, doesn't it, Rock?
Ear to ear.
You love kids, don't you, Rock?
I do. Got a granddaughter.
Little Madeline.
Yeah.
We got to get Madeline. Got to get her some airtime. She would shoot to the top of the baby charts this year.
She points at me on TV when the kids are watching.
Does she?
Yeah.
What's her name for you, by the way? Like Peepaw or
I'm not talking yet.
Something like that? Jonathan Lucroy leads off. I mean, usually it's not the baby that names the grandparent. They usually that's kind of predetermined. That hasn't been predetermined
Well, it's
yet?
not Peepaw, I'll tell you that.
Grandpappy Schrader. Rock's just going to demand that little Madeline call him sir.
Yeah, right.
Ball and 2 strikes. Harang has not been able to solve the riddle of Jonathan Lucroy tonight. He's 2 for 2, 2 RBIs, and both of those RBI hits came with 2 outs. And he misses. 2-2 now on Lucroy, whose batting average is up to .327 now. Grew up in Florida, ended up in Louisiana in college. That's where he still lives. And a swing and a miss. Lucroy strikes out. Back-to-back Ks for Aaron Harang. That gives him 5 tonight.
Yeah, right off the outside corner. Good pitch by Harang.
He has been efficient as well. Ran into some trouble in that first inning. Brewers had 2 hits in that inning and scored their first run. Here's Mark Reynolds. Quickly 0-2. Reynolds lined out in the first. Harang struck him out in the third. That ball is scalded over the glove of Ugla into right center. And Reynolds thinking about two. He'll hold up. Upton's got a good arm out there. And a good piece of hitting by Mark Reynolds. He got down 2 strikes. Delivers a single to right center.
And the Brewers with at least 1 hit in every inning tonight. And that one just out of the reach of Ugla. Good to see Reynolds going to the opposite field. Hit that one hard into right center.
The Brewers have at least 1 hit in each of the first 6 innings tonight. Overbay had a leadoff double in the 4th. Scored the 3rd Brewers run. It's a milestone night for Overbay. His 1500th game tonight. Been around a long time. He's one of 26 active players with 1,500 more games. Derek Jeter is the active leader in games played. 2,640 and counting. It'll be his final season.
He's had a tremendous career. He's bounced around a little bit. But still an outstanding defender over there at first base. Lyle Overbay, one of the best. Not as much range as he used to have, but very soft hands.
The Brewers leader in games played is Aramis Ramirez. He's just shy of 2,000. 1958. Ramirez anxious to get back on the field and start adding to those numbers. On the DL with a hamstring injury. Might see him back on the next homestand. He's eligible to return Monday. Unlikely he would be back on that day. Overbay 1 out of 2. Doubled and scored in the 4th. He's trying to get Mark Reynolds on the move at first. These are the active leaders for the Brewers players. And that gets by Laird. On his way to second is Reynolds.
No doubt a pass ball on that pitch. A little bit high, but certainly a ball that Laird should have been able to handle. That's not that far out of the strike zone. That one gets right by him. Maybe a cross-up. Eliminates the double play and puts a man in scoring position.
Brewers have had a man in scoring position in all but 1 inning tonight. "37-year-old Lyle Overbay, 36-year-old Aaron Harang." Overbay has a great career history against Harang. I'm surprised they haven't matched up more often, but opposite leagues for the better part of their careers. But Overbay now with 27 career at-bats against Harang, and he has 12 hits, counting that double in the 4th. 12 for 27 lifetime.
Yeah, a lot of major league experience on the mound and at home plate right now with Laird and Overbay and Harang, and those guys have seen just about everything.
Only Braun and Weeks with more career at-bats among active players here. I'm sure Ramirez is up there as well. .444 batting average against Harang in his career. Looking for a big one here. Brewers would love to add to their lead. Reynolds off second. Overbay fouls another one away. Renicky talking to his bench coach, Jerry Narron, former big league skipper with the Reds. Managed to ring. Pitch number 9 coming to this at bat. Down and in, and Overbay draws the walk. Good at bat. Reynolds and Overbay aboard. That was a 2-strike hit by Reynolds. Overbay works a deep count, 9 pitches to earn the walk, and now 2 on with 1 away for Chris Davis.
Well, it's a nice Tavern of the Game winner, the Distillery Pub in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. If they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours, they get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game this year. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and our good friends at Miller Lite. Distillery Pub LLC. I left that one out initially.
Makes it official. Davis hitless tonight. Fly ball out and a ground out against Harang. Harang's given up 3 runs on 8 Brewers hits already. Just allowed his first walk of the game to go along with 5 Ks. And that ball's lined into left center. Down for a hit. Reynolds around third. He'll score. Overbay on his way to third. And an RBI single for Chris Davis. It's 4-1 Milwaukee.
There's some nice approaches up there at the plate for the Brewers here tonight. The supporting cast really getting it done. A lot of the big boys out of the lineup. There's a pitch down and in, and Davis goes down and gets it, golfs it out there into the gap in left center, and drives in a run. Mark Reynolds able to score. Overbay all the way to third base.
Well, so the pass ball puts Reynolds to second, then a walk, and now the Brewers in business here, and that's going to do it for Aaron Harang. Freddie Gonzalez takes the ball from his big right-hander. And the Brewers are going to get into the bullpen here in Atlanta in the 6th inning. We'll take a timeout.
Inning, Brewers with a 4-1 lead. And speaking of pitching, Yovani Gallardo, who exited the game his last start with an ankle injury. Ron Renicky said that he will have a bullpen session tomorrow and he will have to show him a lot. He did make some improvements, but Ron said when you dealing with a starting pitcher, you just don't think about just the pitching. You got to think about the fielding of his position, also covering first. You have to. Giovanni's a good hitter, so you got to think about his approach at the plate and how all that affects it. And he said he does have a plan in place if that bullpen session tomorrow in Miami doesn't go well. He didn't want to reveal what that plan may be, but he said he wants Giovanni to be honest with him, because the bullpen he can control and he can bring another pitcher up if that is the case. But Giovanni did make some improvements, but tomorrow will definitely tell the sign of if he's able to make his start on Sunday, his scheduled start on Sunday against the Marlins in Miami, B.A.
All right, thanks, Telly. All goes into planning out the rest of the road trip. As you see, the new Braves hurler rocket is Ian Thomas. The left-hander is on for Harang with Schaefer coming up.
They got called up on May 10th, got sent down to AAA Gwinnett on the 4th of May. Here he is back. 3 left-handers out in that Braves bullpen right now. And a short start, the shortest of the year for Aaron Harang.
1st and 3rd with 1 out, and a check on Davis, and they got him. Davis got caught sleeping over at first base. That is a huge no-no. Man, oh man, the second out. Davis just didn't see it.
That is a huge lead over there, and he got picked off. I mean, that was an easy out over at first base.
And he knows it. Can't do that, especially in a spot like this when you can get a run with an out. And now Ron Renicky is on his way out. Remember, he still has a challenge. The Brewers did get a play overturned earlier in this game.
This is a good stall right here. You want to make sure, because that makes it 2 outs. Now it's going to take a base hit to score over base from third base. Maybe asking if that was a balk or not. Not sure. Pretty close. High tag. Got Davis back on the belt. But apparently Ron Renicky satisfied with the call.
So Davis is out. That's the kind of mistake that'll probably get a trip to the manager's office. Probably tomorrow.
No doubt.
All right, 2 out. Schaefer has a runner at third now. And they say he goes, unable to check his swing.
Got to know the situation that you're in. I mean, if you're Chris Davis right there, you know you're probably not going to be running. He doesn't steal a lot. Got a left-hander out there on the mound with a pretty good move. You just stay put and allow Schaefer maybe to drive in a run. Mentioned that was Harang's shortest start. It was not. That shortest start came at Miami, 4 2/3. That was the game where he gave up 9 runs.
5 1/3 tonight for Harang. Gives up 2 hits and a walk in this inning. Gets just 1 out. And as of right now, 4 earned runs on his line. Oh, good play back there by Laird. And that keeps Overbay at third. 2-1. How about this play by the Braves catcher?
Yeah, shifting over. Big fella out there, able to be quick on his feet.
Yeah, you can't blame him here. Now that Schaefer's in a hitter's count, you got the pitcher coming up next. Go ahead and walk him. As much as you want the pitcher leading off the next inning, you can't get greedy in a spot like this, even when you have the matchup in your favor. So Schaefer walks, and that'll bring Garza to the plate with 2 outs and runners at the corners. Ian Thomas in for Harang. Big swing by Garza.
And big lefty out there, pretty much straight over the top. Not a lot of movement on his fastball. That was pretty straight. He's got the curveball to go with it.
0-2 the count. Garza has struck out twice. Just trying to make contact.
put the ball in play, see if you can make something happen here. 0-2, first and third, and that's that. So Garza strikes out, but the Brewers do clear the pitcher spot. They get a run. Pick off at first, a big one. It's 4-1 Brew Crew. Delivering with 2 outs, and the red-hot Jonathan Lucroy keeps it going. Had a first-inning double that drove in the run with 2 away. That Garza rolling right along here. Got off to a good start, 3 up, 3 down first. And then the Brewers were able to execute a beautiful squeeze bunt. Logan Schaefer. That was the 3rd run for the Brewers. Lucroy with 2 RBIs tonight. Drove in the first 2. Overbay has a walk and a double and a run scored. Chris Davis with an RBI single. And that's how it looks as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Garza is on his game tonight. Just 1 run. Jason Hayward drove in that run in the 3rd inning. Haven't seen the big strikeout numbers. Doesn't have a K tonight. And 2 walks for Garza, but Rocky has 2 double plays behind him. And he has been efficient. He's worked fast. And he has a chance to allow the Brewers to earn a split here in this 4-game series.
And both of the double plays ended innings in the 2nd and the 4th. Only 56 pitches through 5 innings for Matt Garza. He's only allowed 1 man to reach second base. That was Dan Uggla. Hayward able to drive him in back in the 3rd inning.
Jordan Shaver's going to pinch hit for Ian Thomas. Thomas comes in, gets the final 2 outs of the 6th inning. So Schaefer off the bench and then back to the top of the order. Shows bunt, takes strike 1. Activity in the Braves bullpen. Next man up will be Alex Wood, one of 3 lefties out there. He was a starter to begin the year. Actually made a very good start against Milwaukee. The 2nd game of the season. Got a win. He'll be next. Another bunt. This one is down. Garza winds it up, fires to first in time. Matt Garza.
Well, he knew it was coming at some point. Shaver with good speed, able to drop one down, but a little too hard right at Garza. And Garza did not hesitate to make a good throw to first base. Hey, the Brewers return home Monday, May 26th to begin an exciting homestand featuring matchups against the Orioles, Cubs, and Twins, and the Brewers dynamic deals. Tickets are available for as low as $9. To find the best values on Brewers tickets, visit brewers.com/deals.
All right, top of the order now. Here is Hayward. extended his hitting streak to 10 games with a base hit RBI in the 3rd inning. Yeah, that's a hard streak too. He's hitting over 350. Good throw by Garza. Not sure I've seen him make that throw to first base, but he didn't have time to think about it. Had to wind it up and go.
That's what you got to do. You can't think about it. The more time you have to think about it, and sometimes it's not just pitchers. I remember third baseman having that problem. You know, you have a bang bang play, you catch it, backhand it, and make a throw quickly, and I mean, no problem. But when you have to take a couple of crow hops and you have time for a throw, that's when you airmail it.
Ball and a strike. Broken bat. Easy enough for Jeanette. 2 outs. Love that reaction after the throw. Jonathan Lucroy. Check this out. And when the ball's on the ground and Garza has it, there's a little bit of a uh-oh, here we go. And Lucroy, attaboy. Never doubted you, man.
You don't see Garza smiling, though, do you? Yeah, just one of those things. I mean, here's a guy that can stand out there 60 feet 6 inches and put it in the spot about the size of a dime, locate it. But when you get an easy comebacker, you have all the time in the world to make a throw, that's when you have some problems. He's not the first and won't be the last to have that issue.
2 outs. Garza facing B.J. Upton. In there for a strike. Velocity is still good. 93 miles an hour. Been able to locate well. He's trying to beat the Braves for the first time in his career. Start number 5 tonight. He's 0-3 lifetime. Upton to right. That ball's well hit. Back is Herrera at the wall. Leaps up. It bounces off the top of the fence and out. A home run for B.J. Upton. His 4th of the year. And it's 4-2 Milwaukee.
He hasn't hit many of those as an Atlanta Brave in a couple of years. I think it's good extension on the pitch out away from him. Those are pitches that he's been swinging through quite a bit. Nice easy stroke. Herrera goes back and right off the top of the padding and into the seats.
4th homer, 10th RBI for Upton. And there has been an Upton who has homered in the last 3 games here in this series. Or 3 of the last 4 games, I should say, in this series.
Yep, no homers yesterday.
Justin homered in each of the first 2 games. Freeman takes a ball. It's 2-0. Now the Braves down a pair. At the heavy part of the order up now. 2 outs in the inning. Justin Upton waiting on deck. Braves fans haven't seen the power of Justin's brother BJ, but he had a couple of 20 homer seasons with the Tampa Bay Rays. The year before he signed this big deal with Atlanta, BJ hit 28 home runs, as a matter of fact, back in 2012. So he has pop.
He's having a difficult time apparently in the National League. Trying to learn the new pitchers. Of course, interleague play helps you a little bit with that.
3-1 to Freeman. In tight, ball 4. And now Garza stepping into a little trouble here as Justin Upton will step in. Freeman is aboard with a walk. And the tying run coming to the plate. Rick Tomlin, the acting pitching coach tonight, keeping an eye on the pitch count.
And the hottest Atlanta Braves hitter coming to the plate.
Every ball game has a key moment, and this is one for Matt Garza. A red-hot hitter, Justin Upton, 8 for his last 15 at the plate, and he's driven in 7 runs over his last 4 games as well.
Tried to start him off with a changeup and didn't come close. Good play by Lucroy to keep Freddie Freeman at first base. Got to be careful with this guy, no doubt about that. He's been driving the ball out of the ballpark to right field. So if you pitch him away, keep it down.
And Garza wants to start over with Lucroy.
Shaded to pull in the infield, straight away in the outfield for Justin Upton.
One and one. Yesterday, the Braves combined for just 5 hits through 2 pitchers, Loesch and Rodriguez. Loesch went 8 innings and 4 hits. Rodriguez gave up 1. K-Rod. Upton had 3 of those 5 hits. Drove in the only run. That was a first inning RBI yesterday. Tonight he's 0 for 1 with a walk. Big spot for Garza. 1 ball, 1 strike. And in the dirt, Lucroy blocks it. Well done.
I mean, that's just textbook by Lucroy. Not only does he block it, but he's able to keep it close enough. He bounces up. Keeps Freeman at first base, and Rick Tomlin wants to have a chat with Matt Garza.
Well, Rick, the Brewers minor league pitching coordinator. It's got to be an interesting visit for him. Rick Kranitz, the regular pitching coach for the Brewers, attending a graduation tonight as Rob Wooten is in the bullpen.
Lee Tunnell doing the same. So both of them gone, Kranitz and Lee Tunnell. They'll be back tomorrow, at least Kranitz will.
So Tomlin has his say. And Garza in a 2-1 count on Upton. He's the Braves leader in home runs with 12. Got to make a pitch here. 2-1. Freeman at first. And he got under it. Boy, he took a hack. And Upton fouls it away.
And he had a good pitch to hit. It was a hanging slider right down the middle. Look at Upton. Saying, how did I miss that one?
That is the definition of back-legging a swing right there, isn't it?
That's where this ends up. Look out. Oof. Right down the middle. Look at Lucroy's reaction.
Garza got away with one.
Yes, he did.
Might not want to put it there again, though. Not that he wanted to put it there in the first place. 2-2. Garza deals, and it's in the dirt. And now Freddie Freeman will get a head start at first.
Just having a tough time with the changeup. He's trying to work it in, just can't get it close to the plate.
Good hitter due up next, Chris Johnson. Been the toughest inning for Garza so far. He did give up a run in the 3rd inning, but that was on a 2-out hit. And a swing and a miss. Upton strikes out. Garza comes back to get him. Inning over. The Braves get a run. B.J. Upton goes deep. His brother strikes out. Brewers lead 4-2. in the inning. 4-2 Brew Crew as we go to the 7th. Our shining moment tonight, courtesy of the Marshfield Clinic. And the night of Gene Segura. He dropped a bunt down for a hit, stole a base, scored a run in the first. He doubled and scored in the 3rd inning. And collected his 3rd hit of the night on an infield hit in the 5th. On a night when Carlos Gomez was scratched from the lineup with a little tightness in his back. Segura leads off and is 3 for 3, and he's due to start the 7th inning. New pitcher Rockies, Alex Wood.
You can see he was in that starting rotation at 335 earned run average. More strikeouts than innings pitched. 53 strikeouts, 11 walks. He has allowed 6 home runs. And made his first relief appearance of the season back on May 9th against Chicago. And picked up a win.
Now Wood is a funky left-hander. Tough to pick him up. Top of the order, Segura, Jeanette, and Elian Herrera, who came in for Ryan Braun. Braun left this game after his 2nd at-bat. Little tightness in the right side was the official word from the clubhouse. And the Georgia Bulldog, Alex Wood, on the mound. Back up the middle. Nice play. Wood snares it out of the air and takes care of Segura. If that gets by him, that's a hit. Instead, the first out. Well, Matt Garza making a big pitch, to get out of the 6th inning. Justin Upton, the tying run at the plate.
Slider in the dirt on a 3-2 count. Upton figuring on a fastball. That one actually bounced in front of home plate. Another great block by Lucroy, and Garza out of the inning.
His first strikeout of the day. A most opportune time. Scooter Gennett now. Well, the Brewers are getting into that point now where they can trust their outstanding bullpen. But Tyler Thornburg is not available tonight. Thornburg, typically the guy you'd see in the 7th inning. He and Kensler. Well rested, though. Kensler, Will Smith, K-Rod. Garza's pitch count still in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Love to see him get through another inning, maybe 2 if he's efficient.
Yeah, Wooten was loose. He's ready to go on a moment's notice.
Garza has just 75 pitches through the first 6 innings. Take as many as you can get tonight, but any sign of trouble, the Brewers will have their bullpen active. One and 2 on Jeanette. Tough matchup for him and every left-handed hitter.
Got that herky-jerky delivery, drops that arm behind his back and making it very difficult, particularly on left-handed batter. Not too easy for right-handers either, but that action right there.
Little breaking ball, a flare, and that's going to fall. Jeanette with a base hit. You'll take those any way you can get them against this tough lefty. Jeanette is aboard, a 1-out base runner.
And watch the front shoulder for Jeanette, not giving an inch on a pitch away from him. Not sure it was a strike, but not giving in and just serves it out there into left field. We saw that same approach with Jonathan Lucroy.
Jeanette finally a hit to show for his night. He's actually had a good night at the plate. Here's Herrera, the switch hitter. He'll turn around, hit right-handed against Wood. Second plate appearance for Herrera. He struck out in the 5th.
This is where you don't have Ryan Braun in the lineup. You don't have Ramirez. Gomez is out. And this is one of those nights where this would be a huge win to pick up for this ball club.
And as the Brewers have been saying this month, a split squad win. You get into spring training and you have split squad games. Usually your stars stay with one team, typically the home team, and then the road team, in spring training would go play, and you wouldn't have many of the frontline players. And they say, hey, the split squad victory today, and that's what it feels like right now with the Brewers with Gomez out.
Tonight's case, all the other guys are hanging out in the club, in the training room.
That's right. Yeah, not a whole lot of bench to work with for Ron Renicky at this point.
Which could make the decision very interesting. You know, in the event Yovani Gallardo cannot go on Sunday, I guess one of the options would have been to send a position player down. You bring up a pitcher, maybe for a day, but I don't know if you can do that. You have Gomez banged up. You got now Ryan Braun banged up, and two guys that are on the active roster. I'm not sure if they can play. Could make that decision a little bit more difficult.
Well, it'll be a big day tomorrow. Telly will have the report for you tomorrow. He reported earlier that Yovani Gallardo will make a bullpen appearance tomorrow on the side mound and just see if he can come back. So his typical between start session. Ron Renicky said it was going to have to be a great bullpen showing no ill effects of that ankle injury, and then the decision will be made. Those decisions can change quickly though when guys like Braun and Gomez are banged up. Just trying to get through this one tonight, and it's nice to have a guy like Garza who is pitching well this evening against a first place team. Can make those decisions easy. 1-2 to Herrera. Hangs in there. Looking ahead to the Braves' 7th inning. Chris Johnson, Andrelton Simmons, and Dan Uggla. Garza headed toward the bottom of that batting order after striking out Upton, the cleanup hitter, to end the 6th. The 1-2. Herrera strikes out. Went out of the zone for that one, and down he goes. 2 outs in the inning.
A two-seam fastball from Alex Wood, and that one ends up off the outside corner.
Second strikeout for Wood. And 2 gone. Jeanette still at first. Here's Jonathan Lucroy. He's done some heavy lifting tonight. Lucroy with 2 2-out RBIs. Had a double in the first, a single in the third. He's 2 for 3 tonight at the plate, presented by Wendy's. Lucroy began the day 8th in the league in batting. Troy Tulowitzki is the league leader, hitting .378. I think he's hitting like .570 at home, Tulowitzki.
The whole team's hitting .570, aren't they?
Now the Rockies are coming in here next.
Team batting average of .296, the Colorado Rockies.
They are 3 back of the Giants in the National League West. 16-7 at home, the Rockies. That is not the best record in the National League at home. The Brewers' next opponent has that mark. The Miami Marlins are 18-6, now 19-6 with their walk-off win today. 19-6 at Marlins Park.
Right. And they're right behind the Colorado Rockies in team batting average at .264. A little bit of a difference between the two, but they're second. They're swinging the bat well.
Brewers will head to Miami tonight, start a series tomorrow. Ground ball to Uggla. And Wood puts up a 0 in the 7th. Brewers lead 4-2. Bottom of the 7th coming up. Stretch time at Turner Field. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. And by Miller Lite, now in the original can, it's Miller time.
Late innings in Atlanta, Turner Field on a Thursday night, game 4 of this 4-game series. Braves won the first 2. The Brewers winning last night behind Kyle Loesch and a grand slam from Mark Reynolds. And now Matt Garza picking up where Loesch left off. He's given up just 2 runs on just 3 hits tonight. And his first strikeout was a big one. He got Justin Upton to end the inning. And he'll start the 7th now with Chris Johnson, Andrelton Simmons, and Dan Uggla due up. The scoreboard encouraging Braves fans with the tomahawk chop here in this bottom of the 7th inning. Largest crowd of this series as they get ready for the weekend with the Rockies coming in. Garza ready to go. Just 75 pitches through the first 6 innings. Pitch count in great shape. He could possibly finish this game if he was efficient the rest of the way. But the Brewers bullpen is rested and ready to go in case he needs them. Johnson 1 out of 2. And a broken bat single in the 2nd inning. A little flare to center. And then he bounced into a double play in the 4th. 2 double plays tonight behind Garza. Both have gone 4-6-3. One of them ended up on a replay challenge. Originally called safe at second. They went to review and overturned it. That's lined into center. Schaefer can't get there. A base hit. Second hit of the night for Chris Johnson, and the lead man aboard for the Braves.
Now, he can hit a fastball. There's no doubt about that. He struggled with the slider, but not that number 1. Hit that one hard. Hey, Brewers pitchers look to silence the bats of sluggers Chris Davis, Adam Jones, and the rest of the Orioles. That's Monday the 26th through Wednesday, May 28th, as the Brew Crew collides with the beasts of the American League East. For tickets, call 414-902-4000 or visit brewers.com.
And don't forget, the opener of that series is a day game, Memorial Day on Monday. Can't wait to get back to Miller Park. After tonight, 3 games in Miami, and the longest road trip of the year will be in the books. Here's Simmons, tying run at the plate. And Simmons in the air, shallow center. Schaefer coming in. And there is the first out. And a power bat retired. Simmons out number 1 on the first pitch.
Yeah, had a little bit of tail to that last fastball as Brandon Kinsler getting up in the bullpen talking about sinkers and tailing fastballs. And Garza able to eat Simmons up with that fastball in.
He's retired Simmons twice on the first pitch tonight. Dan Uggla now. And even though he's been a struggling hitter here in Atlanta, you still have to respect his power. He has plenty of it. Uggla signing a 5-year deal that expires after next season. And a contract that inspired the Ricky Weeks signing. At one point, Weeks and Uggla, 2 of the elite power hitting second basemen in the game. Ricky Weeks actually participated in the home run derby in Arizona a few years ago at the All-Star game. Started game 1 of this series. Available off the bench tonight.
Doing a pretty good job at the plate given his lack of playing time.
1 ball, 1 strike. Uggla lays off, 2-1.
Ron Renicky would love to see Garza get through this inning. And then you have to deal with just the 8th and 9th. Could very well be his last inning, getting through his third time through this Atlanta Braves batting order.
He's given up 2 runs on 4 hits now. Shift is on for Ugla, and a swing and a foul tip into the middle. Lucroy. 2-2 on Ugla.
Garza having some success inside. He ate up Simmons on a pop-up. And pretty straight away, except for Scooter Gennett. He's up the middle.
On that last pitch, Gennett was on the left side of second. They moved him back over to the right side. Can make for a bit of an awkward double play. The 2-2. And Ugla launches one. Foul. Pulls it. Hit it a ton, but out ahead of it. And it's 2-2.
Having a tough time locating the slider. It's either down in the dirt or he's hanging it up in the strike zone. Far more effective with a fastball right now than he is with the slider. Although he did get Justin Upton on a slider in the dirt to end the last inning.
Runner at first. Ugla, the tying run at the plate. Brewers lead 4-2 in the 7th. And Ugla stays in there. An emergency hack. A 3-time All-Star, Dan Ugla. Big power years. He had a string of, I want to say, 5 consecutive seasons of 30 or more home runs when he was playing for the Marlins.
And he did it in a ballpark that was really tough to hit homers. That always damp, heavy air, and that old ballpark in Miami.
2-2. Here it comes again. Ugla lays off. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Now we'll see if Freddie Gonzalez puts Johnson in motion here. He'll do that to stay out of a double play.
You get a lot of strikeouts with Dan Ugla, though. You might get a strike him out, throw him out. But the Marlins are already grounded into 2 double plays tonight.
Full count. Here it comes. Ugla bounces foul past third. Johnson not running. And even though Garza's pitch count is still under 90 at this point, there are stress pitches that we have seen here in the last 2 innings. He had to really reach down in that 6th inning to get through it. He's having to do the same here in the 7th. 9th pitch of the at-bat on the way. And Ugla lines one to left. That's down, a base hit. And now the Braves in business. 2 on, 1 out. As Dan Ugla survives the at-bat and rips one to left.
That might be it for Matt Garza. You got Kinsler waiting in that bullpen, a ground ball pitcher. Of course, you got Gerald Laird, the number 8 hitter, and then a pinch hitter. Looks like Ron Rennie's going to stick with his starter. Nope.
And on his way out. So Renicky with Kinsler ready in the bullpen. Most likely will take the ball from Garza. So Renicky makes a call and Garza is out. 6 1/3 tonight from Garza. He'll turn it over to his bullpen. so far, 2 that are still out there. As we take a look at our Miller Lite What's on Tap, here's what's coming up. Brewers will have Marco Estrada, Willie Peralta, possibly Giovanni Gallardo in the 3-game set against the Miami Marlins. Series beginning tomorrow. The Marlins today, a day game against the Phillies. And a walk-off base hit. Christian Yelich, his first career walk-off. Now the Marlins beat the Phillies. They improved to 19-6 at home.
Yeah.
And the Marlins sitting around waiting for the Brewers to arrive in the wee hours tonight, starting that 3-gamer tomorrow.
Going to have to deal with Giancarlo Stanton, a young hitter that's been swinging the bat pretty well. Particularly at home as Brandon Kinsler comes on for the 16th time. Ordinarily Kinsler comes in to start an inning. This time with a couple of men on. He's only inherited 2 runners so far this year when he's come into ball games. None of them have scored. And that's an important stat for this situation right here.
2 on, 1 out. Go ahead, run at the plate in Laird, who loves to swing at that first pitch. And he's been doing a lot of it the last 3 nights. He's been in the starting lineup. And Laird takes a ball. Johnson started the inning with a single to center. Ugla had a long battle with Garza. A 9-pitch at bat that resulted in a single to left. Both balls hit hard. There'll be a pinch hitter due up next for Atlanta. And it's 2-0 on Laird.
Can't ask for a better guy for a double play than Gerald Laird. Doesn't run all that well. Switch hitter Ryan Domet on deck.
And now Kinsler going to have to make a pitch here. 2 on, 1 away. Brewers set up to turn 2. They've turned 2 double plays tonight, and that misses. And ball 3. Braves got a run last inning, threatening again here in the 7th. They had a comeback win on Sunday on the road in St. Louis at a 9th inning comeback. There's a strike. Kinsler needed to see that one go through the zone.
That's been on fastball so far. Probably see another one. Maybe try and get that ground ball. Double play depth up the middle for the Brewers. A big gap out there in left center.
Full count. Key stat for a reliever like Kinsler, who pitches in close games, typically when the Brewers have a lead, is first batter faced. Kinsler has retired the first batter he's faced 10 out of 15 times he's come in. He's typically coming in with men on base. We'd like to see some improvement in that category. Big pitch here, full count, 1 out. And Kinsler making sure the runners stay in place. Kinsler had a great year last year. 2.69 ERA, 71 games for the Brewers. Emerged as one of their top relievers. Full count and a bouncing ball, and it's off the glove of Reynolds, and a run is going to score. Laird on his way to second. The throw is late, and that's going to go as a double most likely for Laird, and the Braves are within a run.
Kinsler got his ground ball, unfortunately off the glove of Reynolds. Had he not got a piece of it, Segura would have been able to keep it in the infield. Bases would have been loaded, no runs in, but that's not the case. A tough break for the Brewers and Kinsler. He got his ground ball. Can't really determine it. You can't dictate where it's going to go. It goes off the glove of Reynolds. If he doesn't touch it, you can see Segura is going to be right there to keep it in the infield.
Laird a little shaken up out at second base. after a belly flop double. Going as hard as he could around the base. That's a big base for him to get as well. Braves now have the go-ahead run in scoring position. Let's take a look at this slide. He hit pretty hard, didn't he?
Certainly not, built aerodynamically for head-first slides.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's about as good as you could say it. And he'll stay in the ball game, so Laird able to take the 3-2 pitch, beat it into the ground, and put it in a pretty good spot. Trying to stretch out his back.
Well, the Brewers are in trouble now. Second and third, one out, and a pinch hitter coming up, Ryan Doman. Doman had a pinch hit home run here on Monday, which was his 100th career homer. Renicky is going to make a double switch. So Renicky with a home plate umpire, fielded Colbreth. Looks like Jeff Bianchi's coming in to play second. There's not a whole lot of areas you can double switch with Braun already out. Bianchi in for Jeanette, and if that spot in the order comes up in the 8th, which would be 5th in the Brewers' 8th inning, it would be Bianchi. So that tells you Renicky wants to get multiple innings from his next pitcher as Kinsler is out and Renicky goes back to the bullpen. Pitching change. We're taking a look at the Brewers bullpen. Originally Zach Duke had come out,
but nobody had been warming up.
Nobody's warming up. Remember, we told you that the Brewers are without their pitching coach and their bullpen coach tonight, and there was some miscommunication out there. Will Smith has not thrown a baseball yet. He has not thrown. He was wearing a jacket when he was finally brought into this game.
And initially Zach Duke came running out. Ron Renicky said, you go back, I want Will Smith. So Will Smith's out there just trying to stretch out. He's got 8 pitches to get loose. That's it. And the umpires are not going to give him any more than that. Boy, you just hope that he doesn't hurt himself in this situation. And we talked about the fact that both pitching coaches, Lee Tunnell, Rick Kranitz, not here. And what kind of problems does that create? Well, you see one right now. Not sure what Freddie Gonzalez is arguing about. Probably the time it's taking for Will Smith to get ready. Umpiring crew is giving the Brewers a lot of time to decide what they want to do here, and that's probably what Freddie Gonzalez has an issue with.
I will say this about Will Smith. He is among the relievers. He's the guy who gets ready the fastest. But this is asking a lot from a guy to come in here and only make 8 throws and have to pitch in a spot like this with runners in second and third.
Right.
And obviously Roenicke communicated with Rick Tomlin that he wanted Smith up. He would have never have gone to the mound had he known that Smith wasn't warming up. I mean, he's just assuming that he's ready to come in.
Right. Well, the communication lapse.
Umpires are counting these pitches for Will Smith. I'm sure Roenicke made a plea, just about the injury situation, but that's not going to fly in a spot like this.
Well, the umpires are getting together, and here you go. You see Ron Roenicke coming out. Nobody really getting loose in the bullpen, and who would say who's coming in? Nobody throwing.
Well, sitting next to him at the early part of that shot was Will Smith in a pullover.
Right. He's done. Umpires are saying you've had enough. That's it. And here we go. Well, maybe not. Now what?
And they're counting pitches. And Freddie Gonzalez is coming out and saying no more. No more.
Not sure what the confusion is. They're going to go to the replay booth in New York for something, for some reason. I have no idea why. This is something you don't see every day.
And you can go to review for what they would call classified as clerical plays in baseball like this. I'm assuming you can go to replay for this particular incident, but this hardly ever comes up. I mean, hardly ever do you have to bring a reliever in.
What are you reviewing? I mean, I don't understand what they're reviewing.
They're probably checking with the rule book, getting confirmation from.
You get 8 pitches when you come out. I mean, the umpires aren't concerned whether a guy's getting loose in the bullpen.
There's a long delay here. The official ruling on this, the review, is a substitution challenge. So trying to determine and get word from the office in New York. This does Will Smith no good, by the way.
They're not letting him throw. That's the thing. Actually making it worse. He had been throwing, and now they're having him stand out there on the mound doing nothing. Your guess is as good as mine, what they're talking about.
Well, they're not allowing Smith to throw. Could he throw with an infielder here? I guess not, or else he would be.
The only thing I can think of is maybe they're saying that Zach Duke has to be out there on the mound because he's the first one that came out. He came running out of the bullpen. He came out about 50 feet and then turned around and went back in the bullpen, but he was never announced.
There are a lot of questions to be answered here. First of all, who made the challenge request? And if it's Freddie at this point who makes the request, he waits till after Smith's 8 pitches and then makes the challenge request. Duke did come in, but Roenicke immediately was saying no, wrong left-hander, the wrong left-hander. I think Duke's trying to communicate that Smith has not thrown a pitch. Neither had Duke, by the way.
Yeah, that might be what the discussion is right here. Duke comes running in. He does an about face, goes back. Here comes Will Smith, and he's just standing there. Now he'd thrown 8 pitches. He tried to get a little bit loose, and now he's been standing out there doing nothing. He is not allowed to be throwing a baseball at all. And this is just taking some extra time for Will Smith to cool down again.
So Field and Colbreth will come with the explanation for Roenicke, the crew chief. A substitution challenge. Now, when you have normal challenges and it takes this long, the pitcher just lightly tosses. We saw Matt Garza do it on the earlier challenge, and he's saying he's cutting him off, basically saying you don't get any more throws. There's going to be a whole lot of explaining to do after this game. Hopefully Major League Baseball will make the umpires available, or at least an explanation, which I'm sure they will. And we're finally going to get back to action here. So
I mean, the only thing they really could have been looking at was whether Zach Duke had to pitch or whether it was Will Smith. I mean, what else could they have been discussing?
For the review, you mean?
That's it, yeah. I mean, talking about perhaps the rules and, the rules on that. But here we go. Will Smith, after 8 pitches, that's all. And here we go.
Facing Ryan Doman, a pinch hitter. Game on the line here in the 7th inning. A run is in. 4-3 Brewers. And Smith working on adrenaline and 8 pitches. That delay right there, though, at the challenge works in the benefit of the Braves.
Right.
Because Smith was at least hot, ready to go. Unfortunate that it is a warm night here in Atlanta. And there's a strike. Well, you're so concerned about injuries in a spot like this. Brewers have nobody to blame but themselves for not having a pitcher ready. Wherever that communication broke down, that is a no-no in a spot like this, and you never see that.
No.
Ball and a strike. Doman off his foot, a foul ball. 1-2 the count.
And not only throwing the baseball for Smith, but are the legs loose? Is he going to be able to field his position? Is he going to pull a muscle? Who knows? Normally, relievers go through a certain routine before they start to throw out there in the bullpen. Certainly wasn't able to do that.
If you had a runner at first, you could make a few throws over there, buy you a couple of throws to get loose. That's not available for him. Well, he's got him 1-2. Brewers need a strikeout. And the 1-2 is just off the plate. 2-2 the count. What a strange sequence of events here. Smith in for Kinsler. Tying run at third. The 2-2 on the way, and Doman bounces one foul.
It doesn't seem any worse for the wear. I mean, his pitches are pretty much the same. They might be up a little bit in the strike zone, if anything, but still has the good slider. His first pitch was 93 miles an hour.
Smith grew up in Noonan, Georgia, about a half hour south of Atlanta. Grew up always dreaming about playing at Turner Field. 2-2 on the way, and Doman, a base hit. In to score the tying run is Oakland. Laird on his way around third. He'll score, and the Braves have taken the lead. Ryan Doman, a pinch hit, 2 RBI single, and Atlanta has come back and on top 5-4.
Smith tried to come in with a fastball, didn't quite get it in far enough with the infield in. No chance for Segura. And Ugla showing good speed, able to score easily. Actually, that was Laird. And the Braves catcher able to score on the base hit into center field.
All those runs belong to Matt Garza. 5 on the board. All but 1, I should say. 4 earned runs for Garza, the other to Kinsler. Braves have scored 3 runs in the 7th. And a pitching change controversy that just cannot happen. Hayward into the seats.
Well, just like that, a very good outing by Matt Garza. Turns into a no decision.
And right now, Kinsler on the hook for the loss. And remember, Ryan Braun is out of this game with an injury. Gomez is out. Did not start today. Technically available, but out. And a bouncer. Jeanette backhands it. Oh my goodness, out there. The throw is late to first. What a play by Scooter, or rather Jeff Bianchi, I beg your pardon. to Gene Segura. A heck of a play to get it out.
And they almost were able to turn a double play. Well, I tell you, that's some kind of an effort by Jeff Bianchi. He's playing pretty much straight away. Look how far he goes. He gets it on the first hop and then just flips it with the glove. Segura almost able to turn the double play. I mean, those two slick up the middle, and then we're almost able to turn the double play. Wow.
And this is going to go possibly for a challenge, and now we're going to bring in another rule if this does go to review about the neighborhood play and umpires allowing infielders to protect themselves at the bag at second, which is in the book, and we'll see.
Well, the neighborhood play only applies on a good throw. If the throw is a little bit high and it pulls a fielder off the bag, I mean, that neighborhood play does not count. That neighborhood rule does not apply. The flip was pretty good by Bianchi. A little bit high. Did it pull Segura off the bag? And we'll see. He's off the bag right there. Now does he come down and retouch?
Carlos Tosca gave the thumbs down. Earlier in the series, Tosca went thumbs down, and they went to a review. So whatever the Braves signal is.
Thumbs down probably means they missed it.
There's the bench coach on the phone to the Braves clubhouse, and they're looking at all these angles. Now the umpires, after the 7th inning, from the 7th inning on, can go to review on their own. But a manager who has a challenge remaining can force the umpires to go to review. And so he is challenging it. And he's asking, is it my challenge, or are you going because it's the 7th inning or later?
Yeah, certainly there was a throw, the backhand flip out of the glove by Bianchi that pulled Segura off the bag. So the neighborhood play does not apply in that case. It's only on a good throw, perfect throw. That's when the umpires allow an infielder around the bag to be able to get a little bit of leeway on that tag at second.
Well, if nothing else, because Smith is already involved in the game now, he can warm up. And he's doing that. During all of this time, Will Smith has been throwing to Lucroy. That's a silver lining. All right, so we're going to challenge here. This is a huge call. And it did look like Segura was off the bag. Oh, it's close. They just showed the replay on the big board here. A heck of a play by Bianchi. And wow.
Yeah, look at the second base umpire. That's Seth Buckminster. He is right on that call. But it looks like on that replay he might have been off the bag as he jumped up to catch it.
Buckminster missed one earlier and had it overturned. That was the play that benefited the Brewers. Here's probably the best look at it here on Phantom Cam. Ball in the air a long time. Keep an eye on the foot of Segura right there.
There, stop her. Yeah, that's
is that clear and conclusive? That's going to be the question. That was close.
Umpires with the headsets looking at the replay. Of course, they don't have anything to do with the outcome of the replay. It's all in New York. Headsets are getting a workout tonight.
Yeah, this is the third review. And a challenge on an out at second. That went in the Brewers' favor. It was overturned. Ended up being a double play ball. Had a substitution challenge just a moment ago. And now the Braves challenge an out at second. The hard thing to determine here is when did the ball enter the glove of Segura. We had this conversation earlier. You know, it's not when it disappears into the glove. It's actually when it strikes. We're talking frames here.
That's right.
Frame by frame.
And think about how the umpires have to make a split-second decision. They don't have the opportunity to look at slow motion. I mean, they have to make the call right away. Second base umpire thought it was an out. And we'll see what they decide in New York. They get all kind of time to decide. They're going to see it at different angles, different speeds. Folks here in Atlanta, the crowd, they've seen it on the scoreboard. They believe that Segura was off the bag.
unbiased as they are.
Of course.
It's got to be clear and conclusive, and in that case, the call on the field is the important one, and that is an out. And this is a big one here. So what is the call? Fielder Colbert calls him safe. So the review in New York is going to put Domit back at second base, and it is all going bad for the Brewers here in the 7th inning.
Yeah, but what an effort by Jeff Bianchi. The only thing he could do is what he did, a backhand flip out of the glove. Got up in the air a little bit too much, and all hands on deck. Everybody safe.
And Will Smith, who is probably finally warmed up after he threw a number of pitches during that review. Jason Hayward gets credit for an infield hit. 1 out, 1st and 2nd. Braves have taken the lead with 3 in the 7th. And B.J. Upton at the plate. The Brewers are going to have Mark Reynolds, Lyle Overbay, and Chris Davis due up in the 8th. Remember, they can overturn it. Rock made a great point about that throw to second. It has to be a good throw. And Smith misses again. Now it's 3-0. And because the throw took Segura off the bag, that negates the whole neighborhood option of that play. No fault to Bianchi, who made a tremendous effort just to get the ball in the area.
That's why they gave him a hit. They gave Hayward a hit.
3-0 pitch. Upton takes a strike. This inning began with Matt Garza on the mound. And we're nearly 40 minutes into this half inning.
And this half inning started at 9:30.
Garza to Kensler. Brewers didn't have a reliever warming up in the bullpen. Smith had to come out cold. And he walks B.J. Upton.
And he's showing the signs of coming in cold, that's for sure. You talk about routine, you talk about certain ways relievers get ready. That was totally thrown out the window tonight. And he's noticeably out of rhythm.
And now he has to deal with Freddie Freeman. What a disaster for the Brewers. But you got to stop it here. You got to figure out a way. Down a run. Still time. Brewers looking for a double play ball. And Freeman takes a ball. The last guy the Brewers want at the plate in a spot like this. The Braves' best run producer.
And he handles lefties pretty well. He didn't mind lefties at all. Pitch him away, he'll go to left. Come in on him, he'll pull it down the line. And Will Smith, his money pitch is that slider away to left-handed batters.
Bases loaded, 1 out, 1-1 to Freeman, and he fouls it away. Smith had to come into this game without 1 throw in the bullpen. Had to loosen up with just 8 pitches on the mound after a mistake to get the pitcher ready. Renicky assuming that he was throwing, but that never got to the bullpen. There's a swing and a miss. What a big out for Will Smith.
And there's that slider down and away. Good location. You really got to tip your hat to Will Smith, and if he can get out of this mess right now, it looks like Ron Reddy is going to come out and come get him. Got some right-handers coming up.
Justin Upton due to hit. Smith does the best he can do under the circumstances. Gets a big out. But the Braves have a 5-4 lead with Justin Upton coming up. We'll take a break. Continues. And Renicky goes to his bullpen. Rob Wooten is on with Justin Upton coming up. Braves have scored 3 runs. They now lead 5-4. Garza had to exit in this 7th inning. Kinsler responsible for one of those runs scoring. The other 2 belonging to Garza. Now Rob Wooten in for Will Smith.
Yeah, nothing but right-handers coming up. So Ron Renicky goes to the bench, and Rob Wooten, his 13th appearance. Wooten last pitched on Monday here against the Braves, 2/3 of an inning. 10 strikeouts in 11 1/3 innings, and he comes in with a mess to deal with. The bases loaded and 2 outs, and the cleanup hitter due up. Tough break for Matt Garza tonight.
Garza was rolling along entering this 7th inning, giving up just 2 runs. Well, Justin Upton now. Brewers are going to have to pull it all together somehow. Down a run. 2 outs, bases loaded for Justin Upton, one of their hottest hitters, who was 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Ninth batter of the inning for Atlanta. And Lucroy wants to have a chat. Smith striking out Freeman for the 2nd out. And Upton takes a ball. 2-0. Nowhere to put him.
And now puts him in a fastball situation with a big time power hitter up.
Going to be a whole lot to unpack from this bottom of the 7th after this game tonight. 2-0. And that one's in there, a strike.
How about that? 2-0 slider right on the outside corner. Gutsy pitch by Rob Wooten. Wow.
Got the benefit of a call there. 2-1. 2-2. Well, if Wooten can get Upton, the Brewers would have Reynolds, Overbay, and Davis as we would head to the 8th. Ryan Braun is out. If you're just picking us up this crazy game, this crazy half inning, no Gomez in the starting lineup tonight. Tightness in the back. Braun left after his second at bat with tightness in the right side. So the Brewers are running short on the pen. They had to bring a reliever on who had not thrown at all in the bullpen. Miscommunication between dugout and bullpen. Domet with a 2 RBI single to give the Braves the lead. Count remains at 2-2 on Upton.
Yeah, but nothing but sliders to Justin Upton, who punched out his last time up on a full count. A slider from Matt Garza. That one right down the middle of the plate and nearly knocking the mask off of Jonathan Lucroy. A long inning for Luke back there. It's about a 45-minute inning.
Yeah, you're right. It started at 9:30 local time. Wooten is the 4th pitcher of the inning for the Brewers. 2-2 on the way. And down he goes. Rob Wooten strikes out Justin Upton. But the Braves score 3 and they have the lead 5-4. Major League Baseball, and having to explain what all went down in that bottom of the 7th. When it's all said and done, 3 runs in, the Braves have the lead. As you check the Powerball home run leaderboard, Mark Reynolds is second on the club to Gomez, and Mark Reynolds will lead off here in this 8th inning. So a half inning that lasts a little over 45 minutes. And the Braves now lead this game with David Carpenter, Atlanta setup man, coming in to work the 8th.
Yeah, second appearance in the series, 22nd appearance overall for Carpenter and a .279 earned run average. More strikeouts than innings pitched. And my biggest question in that entire inning, is what was the communication between the umpires in New York based on, the pitching change? Will Smith coming in, Zach Duke actually was on the field, and maybe that's what Freddie Gonzalez was talking about. He's actually stepped onto the playing field in the outfield. But no communication between the umpires, no communication with MLB here to explain what that was all about.
And we will hear from Ron Renicky after the game about what went wrong trying to get a reliever into the game in the first place, as Mark Reynolds lets it loose, down 0-1 to the hard-throwing Carpenter.
And we certainly can only hope that just kind of a passing thought and the Brewers come back with a victory. It's not going to hurt as much. It's still going to be something that's going to have to be dealt with, but be a lot easier talking about it after a win.
The 0-1, Reynolds takes a ball. Again, it does bear mentioning that the Brewers are without their regular pitching coach and regular bullpen coach. Rick Kranitz and Lee Tunnell both attending graduation ceremonies tonight in Phoenix and in Oklahoma. And the Brewers have brought Rick Tomlin here, their minor league pitching coordinator, to be the acting pitching coach today. And Marcus Hanel, who is normally the bullpen catcher, acting as the bullpen coach today. And that communication got lost somewhere, and Renicky was as surprised as anyone that Will Smith was not coming through those doors. The 1-2 and a swing and a miss. Carpenter strikes out Reynolds.
Yeah, big velocity coming out in the back end of this Braves bullpen. You got Carpenter throwing in the mid-90s. You got Kimbrel waiting for the 9th inning. He gets it up there in the upper 90s, and it was 3 fastballs to get Mark Reynolds.
Brewers had a 4-1 lead going into the bottom of the 7th. Used 4 pitchers. Or rather a 4-2 lead, I should say. Used 4 pitchers in that bottom of the 7th. The Braves score 3. But big strikeouts to Freeman and Upton by Smith and Wooten to keep the damage at just 3 runs in the frame. Overbay late on a 95-mile-an-hour heater, and it's quickly 0-2 on him. And that's a problem facing the Braves bullpen. When they have a late lead, they're about as good as it gets with Carpenter and Kimbrel.
And especially that 9th inning guy, Kimbrel. He very rarely, if ever, even allows a base runner, let alone blowing a save.
Overbay into center field. On the run, B.J. Upton, and he makes a catch, playing very deep. Just runs straight across to make that play for the 2nd out. Overbay hit it well, but not enough.
Miles had a good day at the plate. A double, a walk, and now a deep fly into center field, and Upton able to grab it just shy of the warning track.
And here's Chris Davis now. Singled in a run back in the 6th inning. Gave the Brewers a 4-1 lead at the time. Davis pulls one foul, hits it a mile, but out ahead of it.
Yeah, he likes the fastball. If there's a couple of guys on the Brewers that can handle this David Carpenter fastball, it's Chris Davis is one of them. Just needs to get one a little bit down in the strike zone.
David Carpenter, a converted catcher. And Davis takes a strike. 1-2 now on a slider from Carpenter. It was Ryan Doman with a big hit in that 7th. 2 RBI single, a pinch hit single, and put the Braves on top. Davis looking for a mistake. And he lays off. Tough breaking ball. 2-2 now on Chris. Logan Schaefer due up next. Davis trying to give him a swing here in this 8th inning. And a close one, able to check his swing. And it goes full. So Carpenter has had a steady diet of breaking balls after that long foul ball by Davis.
And you have to, sit on fastball when you're throwing as hard as Carpenter does, and you just hope that he's not able to throw the slider for strikes. It's a tough pitch to wait back on when you have to start that bat so early with the fastball.
See what he does here. Full count, 2 outs. Davis in the air to left field. And Upton is there to make the play. Too much of a line. He hit it like a rocket. But Upton makes the catch, and the inning is over. Stay. And a big strikeout of Justin Upton to end the 7th inning. It's a 1-run game. The Braves scored 3 in the bottom of the 7th. Chris Johnson started the inning with a single against Garza, and that started the end of Garza's night. He had a long battle with Dan Uggla. Uggla singled, and Garza left the game with 2 on, sitting on a 4-2 lead, and then it all went haywire after that. Johnson to center field. Schaefer coming in, lays out. Did he make the play? He did. Right off the grass. Logan Schaefer stretches out.
Man, got a good jump on that one. See Chris Johnson looking into that dugout, thinking of hoping that Freddie Gonzalez is going to go out there and challenge. Here he comes. Here we go again.
And he trapped it. And this is going to go against the Brewers. They've already lost a challenge tonight. Brewers have also won a challenge, and that was pretty clear. That's not going to take long to figure out.
Been a rough night at the office for Seth Buckminster. He's going to lose this one. It'll be 3.
And in New York, they're, I'm sure, already taking a look at these replays.
This isn't going to take too much time.
The 4th challenge of the night. And probably the 4th overturned call, or rather the 3rd challenge. They went to 4 review scenarios. One of them was on a kind of a clerical substitution review, they called it. no umpire wants to miss calls, but this replay system that's in place does ensure most of the time that the call is correct once you take a look at it. And safe is the call. And that's going to be a base hit for Chris Johnson, who, by the way, never left first base. And that's the way it's gone here over the last inning plus for the Brew Crew. Three plays overturned in this game. Now Simmons with a runner on, nobody out. Simmons has been swinging early in the count, twice popping up on the first pitch. 0 for 3 tonight. Brewers set up to turn a double play. Wooten does get a lot of ground balls. In the ninth inning, the Brewers will have Schaefer, Bianchi, and Segura do up. In the air to left. Back is Davis, and he's got it for the out. Johnson retreats, 1 out. Wooten will face Dan Uggla. Had the key at bat in that 7th inning. A 9-pitch battle with Garza, resulting in a single to left, and the last hitter that Garza faced. No decision tonight for Matt Garza. Kinsler is on the hook for the loss. Rock, I know you've been taking a look at the rule book there. That if you've been with us the whole time, the substitution issue that came up, Zach Duke ran out on the field, was sent back, and then Will Smith came back in.
Right.
You found that rule?
Yeah, it's 3.08A. If no announcement of a substitution is made, in this case that was the case with Zach Duke as he came in, the substitution shall be considered as having entered the game when, if a pitcher, which Zach Duke is, he takes his place on the pitcher's mound. So the fact that he came onto the field really has no bearing on a substitution. So if that in fact was what they were talking about, on the headsets back to New York, Freddie Gonzalez had questions on, that pretty much clears it up.
So a pitcher can come running all the way in, get to the mound, just before the mound. The manager looks at him and goes, "Hey, you're not the guy I want." He can send him right back as long as he doesn't.
And as long as he's not announced.
I see. That whole sequence, though, because Smith had come in and hadn't thrown at all in the bullpen and was cold, and then had his 8 pitches to warm up, as Uggla swings and misses. Down he goes on strikes.
Another good breaking ball from Wooten.
Second out of the inning.
He's got a good one tonight.
And that'll bring up Gerald Laird. But just to get back to the point, as you see Kimbrel, their terrific closer, loosening. I thought that hurt Will Smith maybe more than anything else, because he had taken his 8 warm-ups. We still don't know yet who. I'm sure Renicky would not issue a substitution challenge there. So that had to have come from the Braves. And Freddie Gonzalez, perfectly in the frame of the rules, let Will Smith take his 8 pitches. Then he went out to make a substitution challenge. How come Smith wasn't able to continue to throw is my question.
Right. And how do the umpires not know that rule and have to go to New York if that's in fact what they were talking about? I mean, that's a pretty standard rule. I knew that that was pretty much the case, but I wanted to find it in the rule book.
Right. I think from the Brewers' perspective, the argument is every other pitcher in a review situation is allowed to throw. But because Smith had just entered the game, he wasn't. And I'm not sure that's the right thing to do there. As Laird flies out, and that will retire the side, and the Brewers are down to their last inning. Down a run. 5-4. We go to the ninth. Seventh has the Braves on top, and a whole lot of controversy in that bottom of the seventh inning. And now the Brewers going to have to deal with one of the game's best closers in Craig Kimbrell. I've not seen him in this series. Officially comes in on a double switch as Ramiro Pena will take over at second. 11 saves this year. Rockies blown 2, however. The youngest player in the history of the major leagues to get to 150 saves.
Yeah, he's something else. He's got a big-time fastball. He'll drop a slider on you once in a while. Look at the strikeouts for Kimbrell. Almost twice as many strikeouts as innings pitched. 16 in the third innings. 30 punch-outs, 7 walks. Has not allowed a home run this year. But he's got a .220 earned run average and has been able to keep the ball in the ballpark.
There's Pena, came in on the double switch. Brewers down a run. They have Schaefer to lead off. And it looks like Ricky Weeks is on deck, batting in the 9 position, and then back to the top of the order in Segura. Brewers led 4-1 at one point after 5.5. Going into the bottom of the 7th, it was 4-2. But a 3-run Braves 5th, or rather 7th. And it's 5-4 Atlanta. Kimbrell deals the first, and Schaefer takes a strike. Carpenter works a scoreless 8th inning with a strikeout, setting up Kimbrell. Oh, and 2. Kimbrell just 25 years of age. He'll turn 26 in just a few days, May 28th. 150 saves already. Schaefer, a little bouncer foul.
It's almost like you have to take an emergency hack approach with this guy, even with no count. I mean, he's that good. He throws that hard. Locates his fastball well. I mean, it's a battle from pitch 1.
Kimbrell, former Rookie of the Year. Had a 50 save season last season. Well, Schaefer had a good swing at that. Count is 0-2, a 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, up around the letters, so Schaefer doing a pretty good job getting a piece of it.
You don't see closers get long-term deals very often. It's risky. But Kimbrel got a 4-year contract prior to the season. Could go to a 5th year as well. 0-2. And that hit him. Schaefer hit by the pitch. An 0-2 breaking ball from Kimbrel hits Logan Schaefer, and the tying run is aboard.
Yeah, there you go. And you can run on Kimbrel. He's got that slow delivery to home plate. Got good speed at first base. He just tried to hold on to the slider just a little bit too long. Got a piece of Schaefer. There's your tying run.
And here comes Ricky Weeks off the bench. Not a whole lot of bench to work with for Renicky tonight.
And just Gomez may or may not be available, and Maldonado. Only 2 left.
And you figure if Gomez was available, he'd be hitting in this spot. Out tonight with a little tightness in the back. All right, so here's Weeks representing the go-ahead run. 98 with the fastball. Kimbrel gets ahead.
And those are the pitches right there to give you the best chance. Down in the zone, below the belt.
Ricky had homers in back-to-back starts. Homered against the Pirates on the last game of the homestand, and then had a home run against the Cubs at Wrigley. Oh, and 2. Kimbrel has blown 2 saves. Blew a save against the Marlins here at Turner Field, and had a save blown against the Cubs, also at Turner Field earlier this month. 11 for 13. Close play, Schaefer back.
You got to figure at some point you'd think that Logan would try and steal a base. Not often does Craig Kimbrel allow multiple hits. You steal a base and you try to get at least one and tie it up.
Kimbrel hasn't allowed a home run this year. Another check on Schaefer. Well, if you figure a breaking ball is coming, it might be a good time to run, especially if he buries it in the dirt. Top of the order next, Segura. And Weeks strikes out. First out of the inning.
And that was the slider that you're talking about. The slider in the dirt. You take off on that pitch, and pretty good chance they're not going to be able to throw you out. Ricky not able to hold up. That's a tough pitch to lay off of, even that far out of the strike zone when you're geared up for a fastball at 98.
One gone for Segura, who has 3 hits tonight. 3 out of 4 at the plate. Couple of runs scored. Martin Maldonado will hit next in the pitcher spot, which is now in the second spot in the batting order.
Yeah, so that answers the question on Gomez.
That would be Renicky's last player available. Ball and a strike. Schaefer at first. Stays put. Segura takes a ball. 2-1 now. And this might be the action pitch for Logan Schaefer.
Now you figure this is going to be a fastball count. This is a good hit and run count, but that's not what you want to do against a guy like Kimbrel. He's a swing and miss guy. Percentages aren't all that great in doing that.
Brewers headed to Miami after the game tonight. Marlins won in a walk-off against the Phillies earlier today. Brewers trying to come back tonight after surrendering 3 in the 7th. Segura swings and misses. 2-2 now. Led the league in saves the last 3 seasons. He's been one of the toughest at the position. And now that Mariano Rivera has retired, you put him in that group of the game's best closers. Two and two. Segura just foul.
Yeah, Schaefer over there at first base really has shown no idea that he's going to be taken off.
We'll do it again. Another 2-2 offering. Segura stays alive. A slider from Kimbrel. Segura mad at himself. He didn't square that one up.
Yeah, left that one up, didn't he? That's the thing about that slider. I mean, he doesn't even have to throw a good one because of, you know, the velocity on his fastball. You stand up there, you're sitting on 98, then he flips that off-speed pitch up, makes it tough.
Here comes a 2-2, and down he goes. High fastball right by Segura at 98 miles an hour. And the Brewers are down to their last out.
He elevated this one just a little bit, and Segura not able to get a piece of it. He had a couple of good pitches to hit. Missed them, and then Kimbrel put him away.
Martin Maldonado, the Brewers' last hope. Pinch hitting here in the 9th. The last available player for the Brewers tonight. First pinch hit appearance of the year for Maldonado. Defensive-minded backup catcher. Strike 2. The Braves win. A comeback win tonight for the Atlanta Braves. A very sour loss for the Brewers tonight. One that is filled with explanations after the game. 5-4 the final score. Atlanta wins it. They take 3 out of 4 from the Brewers in this series. Take 5 out of 7 for the season series. Save number 12 for Kimbrel. Check in with Jeff Grayson. It's time for Brewers Live.